Did you like PlayManiaco?
Yeah.
De PlayManiaco, de PlayManiaco, de PlayManiaco, Play.
Muy buenas noches, muy buenas tardes. Estoy acostumbrado a los directos de la noche. Muy buenas, maníacos, buenas tardes. Aquí en España son las 5, van a dar. Y en otras comunidades pues será por la mañana. En algunos sitios será pues por la tarde también como aquí. En otros será hasta por la noche. Y vamos a disfrutar de este evento también de Microsoft. Otro que se suma más a lo que hemos tenido esta semana. Y esperemos que sea también contundente. Bueno, que sea bueno, que sea muy bueno. Muy buenas a todos, maníacos. Muy buenas ahí a Fernando Guerra, Jonathan, Juan Camilo, xdamos, Kikito Granada. Muy buenas, maníacos. Sergio, muy buenas. Fox Live, Baby Elizabeth, Marcos Seferino con esa bandera maníacas. Aquí estamos, Marcos Seferino. Vamos a ver qué tal este evento de Microsoft, bueno, este evento de Xbox, de los ID, de los indie. Recordar que eso, maníacos, es un evento para presentar el apoyo al tema indie de los desarrolladores independientes y que, bueno, a lo mejor puede haber alguna sorpresa. Quién sabe lo que pueda aparecer. Muy buena, Luis Antonio, también gigante esa bandera maníaca. Feliz viernes también para ti, Luis Antonio. Muy buenas, Paul Frank, la Fefo GameX, Kevin GC. Muy buenas, maníacos. Muy buenas tardes para los que esté aquí en España. Buenas, Holocronos. Vamos a empezar en breves. En breves empieza esto. A ver, quedan unos 10 minutos. 9 minutos y medio. Así que, a ver cómo pinta todo esto. Tenemos un evento muy flojo, hay que decir la verdad. Tenemos eventos muy flojos. El de ayer fue muy flojo también. Pero, vamos. Necesitamos algo contundente. Algo grande necesitamos. Este va a ser directamente centrado en los indies. O sea, tampoco podemos esperar mucho. No hay que esperar tampoco algo muy grande. Pero quién sabe, ¿no? El que no le haya dado like, maníacos, un like lo agradecería mucho. Y vamos a empezar en breves, 3, 2, 1. Pum, conectamos. Y a ver. En breves empezamos, maníacos. Achicando. Vamos a ver qué tal, ¿eh? ¿Se oye bien, maníacos? Todo, voz, todo bien, ¿no? Vale. Vamos ahí, maníacos, esos likes. Esos likes, que suban esos likes, maníacos. Vamos a ver lo que hay. Vamos a ver si sale alguna sorpresita. Ya sabéis que hay alguno que otro que pueda dar la sorpresa. Pero no hay que emocionarse mucho, ¿eh? No hay que emocionarse mucho. Hay que ver alguna cosita a lo mejor del Stalker. Ya sabéis, el Stalker. Alguno que otro más. Pero cuidado, puede pasar como ayer que salga algún tráiler también, no sé, alguno nuevo. Quién sabe, ¿no? El Second Extinction también, de los dinosaurios. Pero es todo directamente lo que hace este evento de Xbox es para apoyar el tema indie. Así que no, tampoco podemos esperarnos mucho, pero quién sabe. Muy buena, Xavi. Vamos bien, aquí estamos. Aquí estamos, Xavi. A ver qué nos enseñan por aquí. Lo vuelvo a decir que no esperéis mucha cosa, que esto está orientado a lo indie, ¿eh? Pero quién sabe lo que a lo mejor pueda soltar así de sorpresa a Xbox. No sé, un tráiler o algo de algo más potente, ¿eh? Sí, te está diciendo lo de Elden Ring. Pero lo de Elden Ring no lo sé yo, ¿eh? De Hellblade 2, no sé, también. Es que como no hagamos muchas ilusiones, pasa lo que pasa después. Exactamente, George R. Gamer. No hay que esperar mucha cosa, quién sabe. El tema de Ori, Cuphead, pero... No, van a ser cosas también multiplataforma. Pero centrados también en muchos de los que van a ser solo dentro de GamePass también. Bueno, servicio de ecosistema, ya sabéis. A tope, Luis Cruz, estamos a tope. Aunque los eventos sean flojos, los estamos transmitiendo todos, ¿eh? Creo que no me he saltado ninguno. Estamos a tope con todos los eventos. Lo que pasa es que estoy deseando que aparezca uno ya que diga, aquí está el evento, ¿no? Que parece que se acerca uno de Xbox también próximamente. Y bueno, también rumores del de Sony también. Pre-3, ¿no? Un pre-3. Y quién sabe. De Halo Infinite, pues sí, puede salir algo. Puede salir algo. Dudo, pero quién sabe. Si nos podemos ya hablar de Hellblade 2 o por ejemplo Elden Ring o demás, y pues ya podemos decir también Halo Infinite. Lorenzo Jiménez, hola Kratos, muy buena Lorenzo Jiménez. Muy buena. Lo de ayer fue un desastre, Pablo Acevedo. Lo de ayer fue muy aburrido. Fue muy aburrido. Y mira que el anterior del Future Game Show, el anterior del año pasado, también fue aburrido. Y al final, pues fijaros que ha seguido la misma estela de aburrimiento. Quedan 3 minutos para que empiece esto. Maníacos, el que no le haya dado like, que le dé like. Vamos, solamente un clic. Somos 50 personas y 20 likes, no puede ser. Vamos ahí, maníacos. A ver qué tal, a ver qué tal. Buenas, PlayManiaco, Load World va a estar en PS Plus, en el Plus PS4. Pues directamente, gangoso, no lo sé exactamente si va a estar justo de estreno. Yo sé que la versión de PlayStation 5 6 de abril está, pero seguramente lo tengas también para descargar en PlayStation 4, seguramente. El que no va a estar disponible de manera gratuita va a ser en... Bueno, gratuita. Va a estar también en la Epic Game Store si paga la suscripción y luego el juego, obviamente. Pero sí estará en el Plus el 6 de abril. Muy buena Protec oficial, muy buena. Vamos, llegué a tiempo, maníaco, a tope. Juan Cortés, a tope. David Ruiz, muy buenas. El E3 sí va a ser digital. El E3 por supuesto va a ser digital. Tal y como está la cosa, el E3 va a ser, vamos, como los Game Awards. O sea, no creo que se abra el veto todavía del tema de, ya sabéis, la pandemia y demás. Esto va a seguir así. Y vamos a tener todos los eventos de aquí hasta que acabe todo esto, que va a durar, eventos digitales. Hoy, Jonathan, hoy subo vídeo hablando de la patente. $50. Muy buena, Yara. Muy buenas. Muy buenas. Muy buena, Yara. Sí, bueno, de Age of Empires 4 no creo que muestren nada aquí, no lo sé. Es un juego muy contundente, Age of Empires, como para que lo enseñen aquí, pero igualmente puede ser, como hemos estado hablando de Hellblade 2, Halo Infinite, si nos ponemos a hablar así, quizás sí. 15 segundos para que empiece, muy buena, Manuel Holguín. Saludos desde Chile, un saludo muy grande aquí desde España. Sí, el E3 está confirmado prácticamente, pero va a ser digital. Vamos para allá.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome on into the ID at Xbox showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. Now, I am one of your co-hosts today, Story Mode Bay, and I have the honor of being joined by the incredible Trisha Hirschberger. Trisha, how are you feeling today?
Yo también tengo honor. Es un honor.
How are you doing today?
Muy buena, J3T. Placer es nuestro. Placer es nuestro.
We're going to talk about indie games. I love my indie games. So on today's show, we're going to be showcasing and celebrating indie Xbox games, right? And we'll have so many talented devs joining us throughout the day to talk about their games, including, but not limited to, Among Us, Moonglow Bay, Souppot, Nobody Saves the World, Death's Door, and 12 Minutes. And each of our developer guests will sit down for a conversation with some of our favorite streamers and creators, including awesome folks like Kate Stark and Stallion83, Donut Age and Technique, and Blind Gamer Steve. So many fun folks. We'll also have special interviews with Chris Charla from ID at Xbox. And throughout the day, we're going to be dropping exclusive new game trailers as well. So if you're an indie games fan, this is the place to be. We'll have Victoria Tran from Innersloth. We'll be here to discuss Among Us.
Le doy más. Está a tope, un poquito. Tened en cuenta que está desde Twitch. Y Twitch tiene un poquito más el tema del sonido un poco más flojo. Maníacos, en breve estamos nosotros en Twitch, En breve estamos nosotros también en Twitch. Que tengo muchas ganas de estrenar la plataforma, Que no hemos estrenado Twitch todavía y tengo muchas ganas ya de estrenarla, Puede que Returnal lo haga directamente en Twitch, ya lo dije, porque va a ser maratoniaco. Y seguramente lo haga ya en Twitch. Nos vamos a ir a Twitch porque tenemos horas para echar de verdad calidad al videojuego. Sin ninguna pega de YouTube. Ya sabéis qué pasa en YouTube cuando superamos las 6, 5 horas, 7, 8, 10. Así que en breves estamos en Twitch.
I am super excited about this. So without further ado, I want to remind everyone throughout today's ID at Xbox, at Twitch Gaming Indie Game Showcase, we will be airing exclusive new game trailers for the very first time.
Muy buenas, Pixel
Some
Noob.
will feature gameplay updates to highly anticipated indie titles.
Bueno, ¿qué le pasó a tu pelo? Está rapado, Pixel Noob. Estoy rapado.
Game trailers. But that's not all we have.
Estamos esperando God
So
of War.
make sure you stay tuned throughout the show and share your reactions
Estamos
in the
esperando
Twitch chat.
Ragnarok.
So everyone, let's go ahead and get into it. First up, we're dropping some new gameplay trailers. Let's take a look.
Vamos para allá. Para recordar Crisis. Esto como el Crisis, ¿no? Maximum speed. Clock engage. Energy critical. Máximo armor. Muy buena, Vermac. No, acabamos de empezar. Sí, este es el evento. A mí me recuerda mucho... Esto está hecho con el... Esto sí, me suena un montón al CryEngine, El nivel de partículas está muy bien, Está muy cojonudo. A nivel de partículas está muy cojonudo, Tira. Oye, cuidado, A nivel de... Cuidado, A nivel de partículas... Y elementos en pantalla destruyéndose está muy bien. Por lo menos está mejor que los FPS que se mostraron ayer, Son como modo robot gigante. Son como, no, he visto robots gigantes, ¿no? Mecha ahí. ¿O mechas ahí o no? A mí me gusta lo que estoy viendo, Además que me gustan mucho las explosiones, tío. Eso está muy chulo, tío, lo que es así con los mechas, pegándose los... Esto está muy guapo, Esto es una mezcla de Crysis con Power Ranger, Transformer. Exumecha. Está chulo, ¿no? A mí el título está bien. Muy buenas, CentiX. Sí. Tiene fluidez, Vermac tiene mucha fluidez. Pues no estaba mal, Sergio. La verdad es que no está mal. No sé, me ha gustado. Me ha gustado el plan, un poco el tema desolado, ¿no? Con el desierto y demás, y los robots ahí pegándose palazos. Me ha recordado mucho a la segunda película de Transformers también. Este no está mal, el de Ancient. Bueno, está soltando así anuncios seguidos, está muy bien, ¿eh? Salud, Starclade, ¿qué tal? Primero lo mostrado es capturado en Series X o será otra vez en PC haciendo creer que es una Xbox. Bueno, puede ser en cualquier, puede ser en PC, puede ser en Series X, pero son juegos indie. No tienen por qué engañar tampoco ni nada, o sea. Ten en cuenta que es un juego indie, no van a ser un portento a nivel técnico. Así que se verá igual prácticamente tanto en PC como en Series X. Algunos no. Algunos no. Bueno, en agosto tendríamos ese, ¿no? En agosto tenemos el de los Mecha, el Kena, tendríamos juego en ese agosto, ¿eh? En agosto va a estar bien. Sí, eso es lo que han dicho, ¿no? De los 100 juegos indies, por eso van así de rápido, porque supuestamente tienen que ser 100 juegos indie y, bueno, la sorpresa, ¿no? Tendrá que haber alguna. A mí el de los Mecha me ha gustado, ¿eh? Han hecho como un honor también al Crysis, ¿eh? Me ha recordado mucho. Muchas gracias, Juan Camilo. Un abrazo. Pero el Exomecha, el Draco, no había salido ningún gameplay. Pues no lo recuerdo. Mayo tenemos Resident Evil también, Deadloop, Resident Evil. Tengo muchas ganas de jugar al Resident Evil, ¿eh? En mayo tenemos un directazo también. Yo si fuese Microsoft, lo rompería de una manera increíble. Anunciaría un nuevo BioShock exclusivo de Xbox. Os lo digo en serio. Un nuevo BioShock exclusivo de Xbox. Y eso sería un pepinazo, tío. O movimientos así, ¿no? Imaginaros, por ejemplo, el regreso de Alan Wake. PlayManiaco, que empiecen los pixel art, ¿sí o no? No, los pixel art no, ya tuvimos ayer demasiado. Prefiero esta estética ahora mismo. Hay que calmarnos un poco con los pixel art. Hay que calmarnos un poco. En su oficial aquí se demuestra la imparcialidad de PlayManiaco. Aquí ya sabéis que esto es un canal imparcial. Es un canal aquí de neutralidad total. Aquí es donde yo demuestro directamente, como siempre lo hago, ser neutral. Maníacos. Yo tengo preferencias por PlayStation, pero soy amante de todas las consolas, todos los videojuegos y toda la tecnología. Lo que pasa es que soy un canal que si tengo que decir algo bueno de PlayStation lo voy a decir. Hay mucha costumbre en otros canales solo hablar bien de Xbox y no de PlayStation y saltarse las cosas buenas de PlayStation.
I'm very excited. I mean, Xbox came out of the gate swinging with this showcase. I am beyond excited to see what's next.
Luego está la gente, luego están los haters que vienen a decirme, no, es que ahora que los Sonyers decíais monopolio de Zenimax, monopolio y tal, y les tengo que corregir, les tengo que decir, oye, yo no he dicho nada de lo del monopolio ni me he quejado de la compra de Microsoft con Bethesda. O sea, yo al contrario me he alegrado de la compra y quiero que Microsoft tenga exclusivos, tenga juegos para tirar adelante. En ningún momento yo he dicho, no, que Microsoft está haciendo monopolio, yo nunca he dicho nada de eso. Pasa que yo entiendo que mucha gente va a un canal que es puro PlayStation y pues esos canales puro PlayStation pues sí que dicen no, es que Microsoft es una mierda porque está haciendo lo del monopolio y luego defienden, por ejemplo, lo de PlayStation con el tema de la compra de Crunchyroll y demás. Yo nunca he dicho nada de monopolio ni nada. Yo creo que cada compañía tenga su exclusividad, ¿no?
Is the art style. I am such a sucker for not only good graphics, but just visually appeasing games. And I feel like with indie games, you get so much of that. And also,
para tener un canal neutral tienes que hablar de todo, pero de la manera realista. O sea, por ejemplo, una cosa que me hace mucha gracia es con la gente está diciendo que el Game Pass va a tumbar el formato físico. Y están haciendo campañas contra el Game Pass porque dicen que van a tumbar el formato físico. Y entonces, ¿y el PlayStation Plus y el Now qué? ¿Y el PlayStation Plus y el Now? Es lo mismo, son servicios digitales. O sea, vamos a ser realistas, maníacos. Hay que ser realistas. Yo sé que todos los maníacos de aquí del canal somos realistas, pero la gente que está hablando ahora del tema de Game Pass, con que se está cargando el formato físico, el PlayStation Plus y el Now están haciendo lo mismo. Una cosa es una compañía que directamente no tenga ningún contenido digital y se le podría decir, oye, pues mira, pero PlayStation está vendiendo también contenido digital, se está cargando el formato físico. Muy buena, Mala María.
See, I'm a little funny when I play games. I'm not a huge
Exactamente,
fan
Elizabeth,
of
exactamente.
first-person shooter type games. However, the graphics
Yo cuando hago comparativas siempre es a nivel de hardware.
nice. I mean,
Porque a
and it
nivel de
looks like
gustos
it's
y
action-packed.
preferencias por
There's so much
videojuegos,
going
esos
on,
son
like you
para
said,
gustos
you're able
colores.
to go
Y
underwater.
ninguna consola es
It looks
mala.
like you were shooting
Yo
at
cuando
a
hago comparativas son a nivel de
helicopter that
hardware.
we saw. This looks
Y son
pretty
muchas
good.
veces
I might have
diferencias
to
que no se
give
van a
it a
apreciar en
try.
directo. Muchas veces que necesitas un análisis a nivel técnico, pero dentro de lo que cabe lo que importa son los videojuegos.
Of course.
This trailer looks so sus. I get it. But yeah, that was just one of the, so that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trailers already shown. And like we said, we've got a packed show for you today. So lots and lots of trailers coming up. But I thought Exomecha looked super cool.
No comparto contigo tu fanatismo, pero esto que estás diciendo del Game Pass te honra. Pero si yo no tengo fanatismo ninguno, Nico 21. Lo que pasa es que yo soy de los pocos canales que dice lo que hay de PlayStation y lo que hay de Xbox. Y hay otros canales que son muy pro Xbox, pero no dicen las cosas de PlayStation. Y hay que decir las cosas como son.
Okay. Fair enough.
Sí, se está rumoreando, ¿eh? Se está rumoreando el tema de la
Yeah,
retro.
I would kind of look more towards Omni. Like I was saying before, Wild of Heart is definitely something that captivated me and caught my eye as soon as I saw it. So I am very excited.
Luis,
and I
Luis
like
José
that
Cole,
you said that about that
vamos a dejar un poco el tema
cyberpunk
del ataque a las
some people are
compañías
kind of looking for
y un poco
something in
de
that
ataque del
genre.
tema del pobre pass y
Cyberpunk
tonterías, porque el
didn't
pobre
exactly
pass
do it
a mí
for
ahora mismo
them,
me está
so
dando, por
I'm
ejemplo, muchos
excited
juegos.
about
Tengo
these.
juegos también dentro del Game Pass.
Yeah,
Una cosa es que yo me queje de juegos nuevos dentro del Game Pass, pero en temas de juegos que te dan muchos juegos. Vamos a ser sanos, a tope. Siempre es lo que yo siempre recalco, maníaco.
On there today. So, folks, like I said, that was just a snippet of some of the fun that we have for you today.
Ten en cuenta, ahora yo si abro, por ejemplo, el Game Pass, tengo el Octopack Traveler para jugarlo si quiero, con la suscripción del Pass o de un Eternal o lo que yo quiera ahora mismo. Por eso digo que el tema del pobre Pass, vamos a dejarlo ya, esas tonterías, que son palabras que yo nunca he dicho en mi canal, nada de pobre Pass ni gilipolleces de esa, y no las quiero ver en mi chat. No quiero ver en mi chat tonterías de pobre Pass y gilipolleces. El PC de la NASA que tiene la trisa detrás. Puede que sí, se va a ver. Stalker 2 se va a ver fijo. Porque la imagen principal que tenía el medio oficial de Xbox tenía el Stalker. Se veía un trozo de la imagen de Stalker. Exactamente, Luis Antonio. Exactamente, y muchísimas gracias. Tiene un poco estética Life is Strange. Un poco del... Cuando va con esos escenarios. Vamos a dejar las cosillas esas de morralla, paz y tontería, de verdad, ¿eh? Hay que ser realistas. Dentro de PS Now también hay un montón de juegos que son tipo indie, un montón. Y lo salva muchas veces también los temas de los exclusivos. Hay que ser realistas con las cosas. Igual que, por ejemplo, han dicho uno por ahí, Outriders, día 1 en Game Pass. Es cierto. Outriders, día 1 en Game Pass, pero no en el de PC. Entonces no hay un apoyo al usuario de PC, solamente en consola. Igual pasa con el Outward, que me parece que solo va a estar disponible al nivel de Plus en la 5. La versión de PlayStation 5.
Hello, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling today?
Good, thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. Now, for everyone at home watching that aren't already familiar with the ID at Xbox program, can you explain a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we're a program at Microsoft that enables independent developers to self-publish their games. So they come to xbox.com/ID, they sign up, they tell us what kind of game they're making, and we send them dev kits. They start development, they make the game, and then they're the publisher. We try and help amplify the promotion with things like what's happening today, and then the games come out, people play them, everybody's happy. It's awesome.
It is awesome. I personally love indie games, and I think we've seen indie games have this not even resurgence, but kind of like just being brought more into the public eye in the last decade or so, and it makes it a little bit hard for some.
Sí, va a salir en la tienda de Epic, pero me refiero a descarga de Plus. Va a estar con el PlayStation.
What are indie games all about in your mind?
Well, that's actually one thing we do in the program is we don't try and define it. In fact,
bueno, a ver si hay alguna sorpresa después de todo esto, que puede ser que caiga alguna.
Like, you know what? Like I'm old, and I spent the 90s as a punk rocker arguing about what was punk and what wasn't punk, and like we don't need to do that. You know what I mean? To me, an independent game is really all about creative control. If a developer has creative control, you know, they have that independence.
Buena, Ismael García.
But, you know, we have folks in the program who are single individuals, you know, one woman, one man making a game. We have studios in the program that are hundreds of people making a game. So we don't stress about it. Like, our focus is just on helping people get their games onto Xbox, helping get them great, and then making sure that players get to see them and have a good time.
Cool. That is incredible.
A tope esa bandera maníaca, esos likes. A tope, Ismael García, Ismael. Vamos, maníaco, somos más de 100 personas y solo 40 likes. Maníaco, si entráis un clic y me dais like. No cuesta nada un like, maníacos.
I can't. The thing that like really gets both me and the whole team on ID
Y lo agradecería mucho, de verdad, que suban esos likes, por favor. Venga, maníacos.
game, and that,
Que suban esos
always
likes.
feels great. Or when we're able to work with developers from like all
Solo
over the
es un
world. Like, we
clic,
work with
nada
developers
más.
in more than 100 countries on every single continent except Antarctica is really cool. So it's hard to pick a proud moment, but maybe my favorite moment was I think it was E3. I can't remember which year, and it was right when we unveiled like the full Cuphead trailer. And I'd seen the trailer. I knew how good it was, and I'm on stage. I got the privilege of introducing the Moldenhauers.
Tope a tope.
And the lights go on the Moldenhauers, and they go off me. And then the Studio MDHR logo comes up on what at the time was the largest 4K screen in existence. And I knew everybody's socks were about to get blown off, and just standing there in the dark.
Oye, esta noche, maníacos, esta noche tenemos directo. Esta noche tenemos directo gameplay, o sea, tenemos directo para jugar a un juego. No sé si voy a. Quiero que me confirméis en el chat qué os apetece. Jugar al Alien Isolation, Evil Inside o Octopath Traveler.
I remember when Cuphead was first unveiled at E3, and everyone was like, "What is this?" And it delivered. I mean, Cuphead's a fantastic game. So what excites you right now? Like, what's the most exciting thing about the indie game scene in 2021, in your opinion?
Just the variety. I mean, we just saw on that trailer and all through today, we're just going to see so much variety of games. And you know, it used to be that I think when people heard the word indie game, there was this thought of like, okay, this side-scrolling pixel art. And there's still a lot of great side-scrolling pixel art games, but there's everything from first-person shooters to, you know, every genre under the sun.
Voy a decir una cosa.
New genres,
Alien Isolation no lo he jugado, no me lo he pasado. Octopath Traveler tampoco. Lo he dejado siempre pendiente. Es un JRPG, me encantan los JRPG y es delito que no lo haya jugado. Y el Evil Inside salió ayer. Tengo 3 juegos que directamente somos nuevos. Bueno, hay gente que ha jugado al Alien Isolation, obviamente.
Clip art dogs that are rotating. Like, those are all super cool. And then you have games that just come out of nowhere, not really out of nowhere, but like Shotgun Farmers, which is a game that launched on Xbox and was from one person.
Para esta noche, Flipendo 2.
Dominated the sales charts on Xbox for like a couple
Ya tengo el platino de Evil Inside. ¿Ya te lo has pasado, Mana María?
So cool that the world
¿Me lo recomiendas, Mana María? Al
like,
final, te lo bajaste, ¿no?
So that's what I love. I just love the variety.
I'm always amazed learning at some of the
Muy buena, Razer Link.
of some of these development companies. Does it blow your mind what smaller indie teams are able to create and produce in comparison to AAA companies?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen like such great, I think we just call it like democratization of development with the rise of engines like Unreal and Unity and GameMaker. It really has now enabled the focus, you know, games is still incredibly amount of hard work to make, but the focus is on like how good my idea is, how good my story is. Like developers are no longer gated by technology as much as they were 10 and 15
Sony ha tenido más ganancia que Nintendo, Microsoft, sí, lo sé, o la de Caracol. Lo sé, en la división de videojuegos.
GamePass have enabled
Muy buena, David Saluqueño.
Muy
buenas tardes.
So many games. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah, it is super cool, and
Sí, ahora lo subo, maníacos, cuando están hablando mucho del tema indie, que está muy bien. Ahora empezarán otra vez con el ritmo de antes, de soltar tráiler.
But not all of them that we'll show today are, I don't think. Isn't that correct, Chris? It's some of them.
That's right. Yeah, it's a variety. You know, games like, you know, I'm trying to think, like off the top of my head, Genesis Noir shipped recently. That was a Game Pass game, but Shotgun Farmers.
No es para tanto, ¿verdad? El Evil Inside. No sé, ya tengo curiosidad de probarlo, maníacos, pero puede ser que esté mejor que haga un directo con Alien Isolation antes que Evil Inside, ¿no?
Absolutely.
Muy buenas, Cutie.
Indie games are headed next, so say in the next decade or two.
That is a great question, and the answer I'm going to give is that I have no idea, but I mean that in the best possible way. You know, if you had asked me when we started ID,
a tope, Luis Antonio, a tope. Pues ya voy a ver los logos, ¿vale? Va a ser entre esos 3 y ya diré. El Octopath Traveler es un juego también que le tengo muchas ganas porque me encantan los JRPG y no estaría mal. La verdad, no estaría mal.
What I love about indie games is they're always surprising us, they're always giving us something new, and so when I say I have no idea what we're going to see in 10 years, like, that's what excites me. like if I knew what was going to happen, I might not be as excited. So yeah, I think in the best possible way, I have no idea.
That's really interesting you say that. I am
Irving
kind of
Javier
curious
Vales
with the
Matehuela,
next
¿por qué para ti PlayManiaco es
generation
mejor
consoles that
hardware de
have released
PlayStation
very
5?
recently? How is that
Porque es de nueva generación, de mucha más nueva generación y está mejor pensado. Irving. Pero eso no quiere decir que una no sea una buena consola, ¿eh? O sea, las dos son muy buenas consolas.
You just download the updated version of it at no additional cost. And you know, independent developers are always surprising us. And so next-gen features, whether it's ray tracing or smart delivery, folks are taking advantage of them in really interesting ways. And so it's been exciting. It's been exciting to see the games, but one thing that we're proud of is that the transition itself for developers has been boring. And I mean that, again, in the best possible way. That, you know, they get this new system and they can start taking advantage of the power of it, but they don't have to get a PhD to figure out how to use it. And so, you know, that is kind of always our goal, to make it as easy as possible to ship so that the focus for developers can be on their game, on taking advantage of the hardware, not like fighting against the hardware and just being excited they got something to run.
Sí, hombre, claro.
Yeah, in that context,
Hombre, el Octopag es porque podemos entre todos formar nuestros personajes por edición.
So speaking of indie
Y el Alien Isolation es avanzar y sobrevivir. O sea, es distinto, claro. Es mucho más divertido el tema de Alien. Pero si os gusta el JRPG, también está chulo porque me acompañáis y vamos subiendo niveles y demás.
We love variety. We're eager to support like all developers, especially if you're a new developer, this is your first game, maybe you're not from the United States or you know you're from a different territory, like please apply. You know, we're really eager
La Trisha, fijaros la cara que está poniendo, está diciendo, bueno, a ver si seguimos con el evento porque te estás enrollando mucho. Mira la cara de Trisha.
$2 billion, like way over $2 billion in the last 7 years from shipping their games. And that just feels really good because it means that we have a sustainable marketplace where developers can have success and keep making their games. And so I guess that would be my message. There is a lot of success on Xbox, whether it's getting millions and millions of people to play your game through GamePass, just shipping your game and having lots and lots
Acá se viene a llorar por Bethesda. ¿Pero por qué se va a llorar por Bethesda?
Please come aboard.
¿Por qué se va a llorar por Bethesda?
I want to thank you for taking the time to spend and chat with us. But before we do say goodbye, can you let everyone at home know how to apply to the program?
Yeah, absolutely. Devs just need to go to xbox.com/ID and you can fill out an application there. I think it maybe takes like 5 or 6 minutes to apply.
Un perfectar el tráiler. Estaría muy chulo, ¿eh? El tráiler de perfectar estaría muy chulo.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so very much for joining us today. This has been so enlightening to kind of take a peek behind the curtain at how all of this works. It has been so lovely having you, Chris. If people want to find you online, is there a place that they can follow you personally, or should they just follow ID at Xbox?
They can follow @ID.
Maniaco, ¿qué te has hecho en el casco? OMG. Vamos preparados. Firajaje.
Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for popping by today, and hopefully we'll see you here on Twitch Gaming again soon.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.
Venga, vamos.
So awesome. And it's
Sí, ha sido muy impresionante.
Como
la Briana dice que ha sido muy impresionante. Sobre todo impresionante.
Yeah,
Sí,
go to
sí.
the website and it takes about 5 or 6 minutes. And I've known about the ID at Xbox program for years and how it helps indie devs get their games out there and get their games finished. And what an awesome program it is. But yeah, I also didn't know how easy it was for devs to apply. So for
El Age of Empires 4, yo también quiero verlo, ¿eh?
game mulling around up here, even if it's just in concept phase. Xbox.com.
Sí, Protec, Juan Cortés, exactamente lo que tú dices. No hay que esperar mucho anuncio grande hasta el verano del E3, pero hay que tener en cuenta que pueden soltar alguna sorpresita a nivel de CGI, por lo menos, o alguna cosa, un teaser de algo que levante, ¿no? Que levante el hype para luego llegar al E3 y decir, hostia, se puede mostrar esto en el E3, ¿no? Que se anunció en tal evento. Es lo que a mí me gustaría ver. Algo se puede soltar así de modo sorpresa. Además, rumores dicen que Elden Ring puede salir alguna cosa de Elden Ring. algún evento contundente. Perdón, evento, tráiler contundente después de la presentación de los indie.
And whereas a lot of people go in and kind of hunt for the big AAAs, I'm usually scanning the floor for the ID at Xbox section because that's where I'm going to go and find the games that, like you said, Brianna, you know, if you're in it for art style, if you're looking for like the game that brings out all the feels that you need to have a tissue box handy for, if you're looking for those fantastic scores and compositions, a lot of times that's where I'm like, ooh, I will find something really unique that maybe I haven't checked out here. Which is it's just fantastic. And, you know, as we mentioned, Cuphead was an ID at Xbox Game.
Cuphead.
There's so many, I believe Oxenfree might have been originally as well. So many great games. And I know people in chat are teasing and hoping for games that we will talk about a little bit later in the show as well. So don't worry, we've got lots of stuff coming.
We do. We have so much coming. But up next, everyone, streamer Kate
A ver, ¿qué
will
sigue?
sit down with the team behind the new game Moonglow Bay, which takes place along the peaceful eastern Canadian coastline during the 1980s. In Moonglow Bay, you play as an old rookie angler struggling to keep your business afloat while coming to terms with the death of your lifelong partner, sorry.
There's the
But
feels,
after exploring the world a little bit, you come to learn not everything is what it seems. Let's take a look at the trailer.
Vamos para allá. A ver. Yo sé que os estáis durmiendo mucho, ¿no, maníacos? Estamos teniendo unos eventos muy flojos, tío. Y estamos en el arranque de generación. Y aunque sea este ya centrado en apoyo a los indie, pero hay que decir que fijaros, vamos a llegar al E3, que será digital. Y veremos a ver lo que se anuncia también en el E3 también, ¿eh?
Because all those stories about the mystical monsters of Moonglow are exactly that. Stories. This bay is full of amazing new creatures waiting to be discovered. So we'll find them and share them with the world. Together. As long as this book is by your side. So am I.
Al LG Playma subirá Returnal, lo vamos a tener el día 30. El mismo día de lanzamiento, estamos jugando a Returnal y vamos a darle ese va a ser directo maratoniaco. En directo a tope. Seguramente lo hagamos en Twitch.
Thank you so much for joining us, Zach.
El de Returnal.
Welcome to the show. Can you tell us a little bit about Moonglow Bay?
O algo tiene que salir, Sergio, del Scorn tiene que salir alguna cosita.
Fishing RPG slice of life set in the eastern coast of 1980s Canada, no fictional.
Yeah. And it's in a town that people are afraid to fish.
Sí, so weird.
Yeah.
Well, it starts out like a kind of scenario where the game is
Algunas
very
cosas sí,
regular,
a ver, en el sentido de que el exomecha se ve más o menos en lo que va a traer el juego. Puede entender que puede ser hasta más, te pueda decir, oye, puede ser, tiene un trasfondo guay, ¿no? En plan, en el sentido del disparo, del juego con los mechas golpeándose y demás. Pero Returnal tiene cosas también que lo que está guapo es el trasfondo que tiene con los planetas, la oscuridad y demás. Hay que tener en cuenta que Returnal no sabemos nada. De lo que se ha mostrado, se ha mostrado. Sabemos que ataca fluido, es un roguelite, pero hay que ver cómo va a ser luego el juego, ¿no? La historia de Selene, es un juego con mimo, no se puede comparar un juego indie a un juego con mimo como el Returnal. Muy buenas, Poro. Muy buenas.
It's having its centennial, so it's gonna be 100 years old, and it's completely falling apart. It has no money. The town hall is closing, and you kind of like gotta help it.
You moved into the town 3 years prior with your partner, thinking like, okay, we're gonna retire here and we're gonna just open up a little fishing shack. But then they go under adventure. Your partner goes under adventure to start up the shop.
Yo lo que digo es que si iban a presentar 100 juegos, este evento va a ser larguito, ¿eh?
and everyone else
Esto va a
is
ser
also
largo.
closing down, so you're like,
Tiene una pinta de que va a ser
I want
largo.
this to survive, and
Pero tienen que, vamos, tienen
it's
que darle caña,
kind
¿eh?
of like picks you up and says, let's do this, let's figure this out. And,
Let's fix this town up. Yeah.
yeah, and
There was so much, like, I did so much research on my side, like doing concept art and stuff.
Sí, eso es lo bueno de Yours Are Gamer, que luego estos indies salen en Game Pass y luego ya tú lo pruebas si es bueno o malo y luego ya decides pues ir a comprarlo, demás, pero te da la oportunidad luego en Game Pass de probarlo, sí, eso sí.
Because even though it was 70s, 80s, the fashion hadn't caught up for like 20 years.
Yeah.
No, it definitely had not.
Muy buena el Foriro 35.
Well, I mean, what inspired the story on Moonglow Bay then? Because it seems that you did a lot of research into it, so you must, like, and very specifically Eastern Canada as well. So what inspired that?
Well, I mean, I always like fishing games. I think a lot of us always very much like playing the mini games,
I'm one of those
fishing
people,
games,
yes.
and RPGs, and yeah. So it's just like it's one of those things. I was like, well, what if like this has to be feasible as a whole scope game? And I found
And with loads of other mini games that you can
and
also
it's
play.
like Legend of the River King, like was almost like 10 years ago, almost 13 years ago since it came out, and I was like, nah, this has to like we need to kind of like see what's feasible here. So
And like the story is like that I met living in Quebec.
yeah.
And like my family has history with fishing. Zach has.
As a kid, I helped run a little fishing shop selling fish by the lakeside, and it was kind of like, you know, there's this connection. We're like, this is actually really chill. We wanted to make a game that was very relaxing, and this is the perfect kind of thing because fishing is pretty chill. And yeah, we just felt like it was the perfect environment to start off, and then we just from there started researching East Coast because we want to go into the ocean, get this vast space.
And also it was a little bit of wanderlust of mine because my dream has always been like I'm gonna go live in Nova Scotia. It seems like the most beautiful place, most calming place. So it kind of has that part as well.
Yeah, like that that starry-eyed feel.
Están empeñados últimamente en los eventos en que yo coja sueño, ¿eh? Están empeñados.
So there is also a little
Están
bit of mystery
empeñados.
around the story and around the town. Are you able to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah, like a little hint, which is basically like there's a lore that exists in the world itself. It's not like the fish aren't typical. They start off typical, but as you get deeper, you get into different biomes. So like regular water is what you're seeing right now, but then like, it spreads into like these sulfur zones, these like heavy glacier zones, and you're like, how does this doesn't exist in oceans? How does this happen? And so it's kind of like the mystery of.
That's also like.
No estáis perdiendo mucho, maníacos, de todas maneras.
Like, people go fishing and they don't.
Me podría poner a traducir todo ahí en plan pin, 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 pero no estoy perdiendo nada. Están hablando nada más que de mecánica y de conceptos de juego que ahora mismo directamente con un simple tráiler ya nosotros nos damos cuenta. Que está muy chulo porque al fin y al cabo hablan con los desarrolladores, explican su idea, sus conceptos y demás. Pero un poquito, un poco de resumen, tampoco tienen que contarnos todo el desarrollo del juego. Pienso en eso, No hay que contar.
More specifically on that, how do the game mechanics work? What can players expect?
Es que siguen preguntando por las mecánicas también. O sea, es que.
Yeah, so it's a core loop of going out fishing and then coming back and cooking whatever you've caught. In your home.
Totalmente, Sergio, totalmente. Y tú que también entiendes en inglés también, pues imagino que, vamos, que lo compartes totalmente.
Yeah, and the fishing is like you have several different kinds of fishing. You can rod fishing is the one that goes the most complex. It has like different levels of
difficulty based on the fish
and equipment. And then there is trap fishing, there is ice fishing, net fishing, and line fishing, which is like a little bit more musical. So like you choose the style that you wanna fish with and tricks to capture this 100+.
Yeah, and there's like certain fish that can only be caught with certain tools, so you're gonna have to kind of go around and figure out what these combinations are.
Y otra vez con la pesca, ¿sabéis?
You can expand with the money you've accumulated. You can expand the size of your boat, the tooling within it, to get a little bed and a kitchen in the boat itself.
So you can go fishing for days. Yeah.
So you can go fishing at sea for days rather than always having to come back to town.
Yeah.
I love the sound of that. Now I know a question that a lot of our audience is going to be wondering and asking, and I am myself. Can you pet the dog?
Sí, están hablando de la dificultad de la pesca, exactamente. Hablando de la mecánica de la pesca.
You can pet the dog is gonna follow you.
He follows you around.
It's your little companion.
His name is Waffles.
Yeah.
He's adorable.
Waffles! Oh, I'm in love with this game already. This is my new comfort game for sure. Lou, you were mentioning the art style. What inspired and influenced?
Y ahora se están haciendo la pelota mutuamente.
So, Zach and I, like, ever since we met, we did a bunch of, like, little mock-ups and stuff, trying to figure out, like, what game do we want to make? And it started from the principle that Zach does voxel art. And also, like, I wanted to bring something really relaxing. So one of the things that it doesn't look like it because it's all squared and it's like.
Lo que pasa, Baby Elizabeth, es el tema de que está orientado a los indies. O sea, esto ya se venía viniendo, ya venid, lo he dicho yo antes. Y es una cosa que tenemos que aceptar. Es un evento orientado a los juegos indie. Nosotros, ¿por qué estamos aquí? Para ver qué se anuncia. Aparte de los juegos, de ver algún juego indie que esté decente, que sea un juego que sea atractivo, estamos mirando, esperando a ver si hay alguna sorpresa, que es lo que estamos esperando todo el mundo aquí. Porque estamos tan escasos de eventos y de noticias buenas que estamos ya, fijaros lo que estamos haciendo, estamos como minando, buscando a ver qué encontramos, ¿no? A ver después de todo esto si se anuncia algo interesante, algo... Muy buenas, Sergio Madrid. Muy buenas, Crasto. Esa bandera maníaca.
I'm seeing a lot of people in chat mention that exact thing, so I think you're on the right track. What sort of playtime can people expect? Is it single player? Is it multiplayer? What do we think?
It's single player and couch co-op.
It can be drop in, drop out. Like it's more of a style of like assist. So if you're having difficulty catching a fish, your friend can just like, or your daughter or anyone can just grab the controller and say, I'm gonna help you catch this fish.
And you can grab onto your player one and pull with them to pull the fish in.
So you go alongside the story and stuff and the playtime.
We're estimating roughly around 10 to 12 hours. Depends if you want to be a completionist and try to get all the 100 plus fish in the game.
And all the side quests and stuff, or if you just want to follow the...
Or if you just want to gun through the story.
Yeah.
So just depending on how players want to play. I love that.
Yeah, so the range can be pretty big.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are you most excited, as the developers, what are you most excited for players to experience when playing this for the first time?
For me, I'm excited to see how people react to the fish that they pull up, because we get really weird with their designs. And oh god,
I really love, like, for me, the whole friendship system.
Voy a poner...
You can become best friends with people in town and they can tell you like their life stories.
Returnal, exactamente no lo sé la duración que va a tener, pero seguramente sea larguito, ¿eh? Del estilo puede ser largo. Te puede durar un Returnal, te puede durar lo que te puede durar un Devil May Cry.
Fantastic. Now tell us really quickly about scripting an indie game and how is it challenging with that aspect of game design?
It's chaotic. It's one of those things that initially you're gonna have a set idea where you're like, okay, you have this goal.
And it's gonna be so big.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have a set idea that's massive. The scope is always gonna be huge, and then you kind of, as you're building out,
no te has perdido nada, Sergio.
First section.
No te has perdido nada.
Like, okay, how long is this gonna be? And then you play through, and you're like, all right, yeah, that.
And can we keep pulling out this amount of like story and work and bigger through the entire...
Pues sí, J3D. La verdad es que sí, lo que pasa es que muchas veces el talento se queda pisado por gente que no tiene talento. Y fijaros, hay estudios que han hecho maravillas a nivel indie. Y esta gente, fijaros el tiempo que le están dando en el evento, que como si hubiesen, yo que sé, inventado algo gigantesco. Fijaros lo que se está viendo. El tema de la pesca. Pero coño, si eso yo lo estoy haciendo en Animal Crossing, por ejemplo. Y el estilo técnico parece una mezcla de Minecraft.
Is not what matters so much in terms of how long that is. If you can tie them cleanly, then I think the players will always be happy with it because they're going to feel satisfied in the storytelling.
Yeah.
Right, and you were mentioning through the storytelling and a little bit earlier that there is a good
despídelo ya.
In the game.
No más preguntas.
And I'm understanding that the lore is definitely playing a bigger role than I may have thought. Can you tell us a little bit about the lore?
The lore is, I think
it's hard without spoiling much.
Without spoiling too much, but one of it is the reason why some of the people in town are afraid is because the fishermen who die at sea their spirits are taken within the waters, within the
Vale, Quique Jiménez, pero no creo que te dé un infarto, no creo. Pero bueno, a ver, ¿qué tal? Yo creo que también lo voy a probar también, ¿eh?
And, so, yeah, it's
like their weird thoughts and their weird imagination.
Sí, en Steam está más barato todavía, Quique Jiménez, está a 9 euros.
So, and That's just a tinge. I want to see more, but I also don't want to.
5 minutos de la playa, cojo mis cañas y me voy a pescar, vaya tela. Exactamente, holocrono, eso sí que ya... Ahí sí que tú... Eso sí es realista. Ahí vas con la VR y todo ya activa. Muchas gracias, Draco. Muchísimas gracias. Aquí todos los maníacos somos elegantes, todos. Y esto está blindado de depresión. No, a ver si arranca más. A ver si arranca más. También depende del tipo de gamer que seas, ¿no? ¿Investigas a tope o solo te pasa la historia de rápido? No, Proteco Oficial. Directamente cuando juego, sobre todo cuando juego, si te refieres a Returnal, Juan Cortés, lo voy a ver bien. Todas las mecánicas, voy a estar viendo las texturas en plan a nivel técnico. Yo juego a un paso más lento que es como avanzar directamente, pero juego un poco más lento en el sentido para ver todo, para apreciarlo. Por ejemplo, The Medium, para poner el más reciente que nos hemos pasado también aquí en el canal a nivel de maratón, The Medium nos lo pasamos en 9 horas y media, pero porque fuimos muy lentos, fuimos viendo los escenarios, viendo bien las mecánicas, analizándolo bien todo, la música, y no fue directamente tirar para adelante, sino que estuvimos parados un tiempo. Porque prácticamente ese juego te dura unas 7 horas y media, 8.
And we also, the studio itself is at Bunny Hug Games. On Twitter.
Muy buena, Fabricio.
And also, there is our publisher that is also going to be giving a bunch of updates, which is at CodeSync.
Ve con la hermana del destino y cambia esto, maníaco. Vamos a tener que ir con la hermana del destino, sí. Las hermanas del destino no me retuvieron.
I know I'm excited to be taking these updates, and I'm going to be wishlisting that as soon as I get off of here. Thank you so much for your time, and let's send it back to Story Mode Bay and Trisha Hirschberger.
Ares y Atenea están muertos y empuño la hoja. Gaia, ven conmigo. Ven a mi época.
What a fun look at Moonglow Bay. I mean, as soon as we got that little nugget of lore where people who die in the ocean, people who die at sea, their spirits and thoughts or whatnot kind of come to be in the fish, I was like, oh man, this went from peaceful fishing sim,
Si a cada desarrollador lo van a lavar de esta forma cada final de tráiler,
Yeah,
esto es una locura,
I completely agree. I love how Kate kind of called it a comfort game because
sí, Alex LG, esta noche tenemos directo. Esta noche tenemos un directo gameplay.
Maybe I don't know how comforting that is. But it looks so adorable, and again, the art style for me is what really drew me in. It's almost like that pixelated type of look. You don't really see that too commonly in games now, and I love that, you know, they brought that back, and yeah, I'm putting it on my wish list. I need that.
Yeah, I saw people in chat saying it's kind of like
PlayManiaco es más analista para videojuegos como en los contenidos que ofrece. Muchísimas gracias, Luis Antonio. Muchísimas gracias.
Everyone was getting excited when they saw there was crafting in it too. So we learned different types of fishing, cooking mini games, sell everything.
Sí, hija, que eso no es. No se puede hacer nada, ni pescar, ni cocinar en ningún otro juego. Invite people into the world and see what they do. Just like hands off, we made the playground. Now the ball is in your court, which is really cool. Maníacos, ¿tenéis el Animal Crossing? Pues ya lo ha reventado.
Alright, folks, we have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We have more exclusive trailers coming up. I see everyone in chat.
Venga, sigamos con los trailers, venga, vamos.
We'll get there. We have more exclusive trailers coming up, and coming up, interviews with the devs from Soup Pot, Nobody Saves the World, Among Us, and more. See you soon.
No, hoy Cristian Leiva, hoy directo nostálgico no. Hoy directo gameplay esta noche. Gameplay, un directo con juegos de todo tipo. O sea, no retro. Los domingos son los nostálgicos. Directo nostálgico, domingos. Esta noche tenemos un directo gameplay que puede ser con Evil Inside, puede ser con Alien Isolation o con Octopath Traveler. Totalmente, Holucronos. Es que además que estaban alabando, la Trisha estaba diciendo, no, es que puedes pescar, puedes cocinar, es increíblemente lo que se puede hacer en el juego, también luego conectarlo con el mundo que tiene, pero vamos a ver, que no están inventando la rueda. Que sí, que es un estudio indie y merece una valoración muy buena y todo lo que tú quieras, pero ya está, ya lo había anunciado, había mostrado su contenido, pasará al siguiente. No, ahora hay que esperar, que van a seguir con los trailers. Vamos a animar un poco esto con mi música. Vamos a animar con mi música, porque si no... Vamos a poner nuestro tema. Vamos a poner nuestro tema.
My name's Trisha Hirschberger, and I am joined by the fantastic Story Mode Bay today to tell you about all things going on the indie scene from Xbox.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like we were saying earlier on in the show, we have such an incredible
Vamos a tener que meter nuestros temas maníacos, porque si no... Lo voy a dejar hasta de fondo, porque la que tienen un sonido de ambiente muy penoso. Tienen un sonido de ambiente que es insípido. Así que vamos a dejar nuestra música debajo, de fondo. Y vamos a seguir escuchando lo que nos dicen. Y bueno, que vamos a ver los trailers.
From drifting across gorgeous rally racing landscapes to surviving the cold and desolate wilderness, our next announcements are coming to the Xbox platform soon. Let's take a look.
Pues un buen PC, Manzo Driver. Un buen PC. Este es el Gran Turismo Indie, o el Forza Indie. Venga, vamos. Que sea seguido. Vale, Juan Camilo. Un abrazo. Diego Medina, no te has perdido mucho. Muy buena. Hay algunos indie que tienen estética chula, Cojones. Estaban echando vaca a un... Es un rollo como parecido... Muy Zelda, ¿no? ¡Gol! Este se ve muy bien, ¿eh? Muy rollo Zelda, Genshin Impact. Bueno, también tiene toque futurista también. Craftopia. Sí, una mezcla ahí, no estaba mal, ¿eh? Muy buena, serie 48. Pues va bien el evento, bueno, va bien dentro de lo que cabe, pues como lo hemos tenido, súper flojo. O sea, sigue la misma estela de los anteriores eventos. Prácticamente, bueno, hay que decir que es solamente para indie. Pero igualmente, aunque sea para indie, lo están haciendo muy mal a nivel de ritmo, ¿eh? Sobre todo las charlas que se están dando entre desarrolladores y los presentadores. Vaca al matadero, exactamente. Estaban tirando las vacas a una olla. Rust. Ah, no, el Rust 1. El 1. El 1 pero en edición de consola. Ah, este es del Team 17. Este lo vimos ayer, maníacos. Este salió ayer. ¿Pero vimos este o vimos otro del Team 17? ¿Fue otro o fue este? Es que recuerdo que vimos uno del Team 17 que era también en morado. Creo que el del Team 17 que vimos fue el que tenía apariencia... Si este el Manita Boy. Este se estrena en Game Pass, ¿no? Sí. El día 30 lo tenemos en Game Pass este. El día 30. De hecho te lo ponen en el Game Pass como presentación. Está muy chulo. Esto lo vamos a jugar, ¿eh? El día 30 a mí me gustó mucho la estética. Aunque sea un pixel, pero se ve chulo. Es muy retro. Ah. Pero este es el segundo, ¿no? Este es el 2.
Hello, and welcome to Hello Neighbor 2. In this game, you'll be playing as a local journalist named Quentin, who is suspicious of his creepy neighbor, Mr. Peterson. For those new to the Hello Neighbor franchise, this is Raven Brooks, the sort of town where everyone keeps to themselves and goes about their lives. Normally, you would too, except a bunch of people have gone missing. And there's just something strange about your neighbor, Mr. Peterson. Everyone is afraid of him. There have been rumors of children going to his house and never being heard from again. Some people say he likes to lock people up in his basement. But no one has any proof. So people just try to avoid Mr. Peterson, his odd house, and ignore the strange sounds coming from his basement at night. You have a feeling that Mr. Peterson is behind all of the neighborhood experiences.
El primero estaba chulo, ¿eh? Yo me hice mucha risa con el primero, o sea, me partí el culo de risa. Además jugaba con mi novia también al primero. Y estaba gracioso. Y creo que el 2 tuve la oportunidad de jugarlo porque en el Game Pass está la demo, no sé si todavía seguirá. Creo que estaba la beta, la alfa, la demo, estaba para jugarlo en el Game Pass, ¿no? Si alguien me puede corregir, creo que está el 2 en el Game Pass.
It begins with the collection of player activity. Mr. Peterson takes note of player behavior, whether or not most players are likely to hide in a closet, use a certain escape route, or certain objects.
Optimus Puto Salvaje, muy buenas. ¿Qué se ha presentado? Por favor, no me ignore. Hombre, no, aquí no ignoramos a nadie, Optimus. Pues te voy a decir que no se ha presentado mucha cosa. O sea, no te has perdido mucho, ¿eh?
In this way, the community's experience with Mr. Peterson changes over time, allowing for an AI that is developed through community actions, replayability, and great stories of neighborhood shenanigans. But these new experiences go beyond Mr. Peterson. In Hello Neighbor 2, players can interact with all characters in Raven Brooks, and these characters share the same
Pues ya Pet Style, hasta ahora
differently
no hay nada destacable, ¿eh? Hasta ahora sí, nivel destacable que diga, oye, pues es un anuncio increíble. Pero ten en cuenta que está basado en indie, o sea, es complicado. Yo estoy esperando alguna sorpresa.
If you'd like to try an early access version of Hello Neighbor 2, you can check out some of our alphas on the Microsoft Store. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the neighborhood.
Ten en cuenta que muchos estudios que ha adquirido Microsoft y que están dentro de Xbox Game Studios han sido de indie antes, o sea, han sido independientes y luego han subido a nivel de producción alta, o sea, a nivel de Studio First.
I played the first one and I was kind of petrified. Like, he was
Por eso hay que esperar cualquier cosa.
every little corner. I remember trying to hide in the rooms and he was right there waiting for
Exactamente,
me.
software. Mejor esta versión de explicar, pero con gameplay. Eso sí.
Even smarter than the first
Exactamente.
game. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Well, that was one of the coolest things about the first Hello Neighbor is that, you know, he would adapt to your play style, and the more that you would do runs, the smarter he would get. But now not having it only be your runs, but the entire community's runs that Mr. Peterson's learning from is frankly quite terrifying to me. Although I'm super interested that they said that the other neighbors will all have stories and will be able to interact with the other neighbors as well. That's super cool. I love that in Hello Neighbor 2 we get a little...
Ahora sí, ¿eh? Cuando no la escuchamos, se llena el ambiente. Venga, vamos a dejarle las voces.
There's the same developers that made Overcooked, and even the style of the game, it looks very 80s and retro and almost futuristic in a way, which is super exciting to see.
Sí, exactamente.
The first trailer that we saw with the car driving, again, a beautiful art style. I mean, wow.
Exactamente, el destacable ha sido el Exo Mecha. Exactamente, Juan Cortés. Es el que más me ha gustado, ¿verdad? El Exo Mecha.
Got high praise from the folks at Top Gear and being a little bit of a car enthusiast, if you will, an auto enthusiast. I was like, man, okay, loving it. That's some high praise again.
Vamos.
For Art of Rally, Craftopia.
Spyro, exactamente el Spyro. Spyro. El Spyro.
Console gamer friends, you will be able to get into the world of Rust. If that's your jam. I've dabbled a little bit in Rust myself, although
ellos están troleando ellos. Kevin GC, eso de excitado. Vamos, son ellos mismos con su multicuenta.
But yeah, console friends, welcome.
Here we go.
Rust. But all right, so that was just some more trailers for everybody to check out. I know chat is all about those trailers. Up next on the show, we have streamer Blind Gamer Steve. We'll chat with the dev team behind the new cooking-inspired game, Souppot. In Souppot, you'll be able to make food with a wide range of locally sourced or supermarket ingredients in traditional kitchen.
Hay que pillar cafeína, maníaco. Os recomiendo cafeína,
More than 100 recipes while streaming your cooking on Cookbook, the in-game social media map. Okay, so we've got like a cooking game and a streaming game. Let's just take a look at the trailer.
Let's do it.
Venga, vamos. Sí, bueno. No. Pero no, a ver, es un juego de cocina, de cocinar. No necesitamos más explicación. No. Que no.
Hello!
Hi!
Hello. Or anything?
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So, Soup Pot, tell us all about it. What is it? Tell us more. We need to know more details.
So it's really weird. It's like our game, it's very chaotic. It's like, to summarize in one sentence, it would probably be a chaotic cooking game where you don't need a recipe. There's no fail states in this game. You just do what you do in the kitchen.
Esperemos que no, de verdad que no se enrollen, ¿eh?
So the player would be quote unquote streaming.
La chica se ha puesto el croma y todo detrás. Se ha puesto el croma del fondo del videojuego.
In Asian culture, we don't really have fixed measurements.
De la cocina del videojuego.
We just like we eyeball everything and then we adjust them according to taste. We just listen to the voices of our ancestors in the background. And we want to replicate this way of cooking because we think it would be fun to play. Especially, we wanted to do the iconic cooking methods like using our fingers to
a ver, esto, Cristian Leiva, esto tampoco es referente a que sea Microsoft totalmente como...
when you're cooking rice. Yeah.
Como en plan que sea lo único que vaya a haber en Xbox. Esto está orientado a indie. Pero hay que decir que ya dentro de lo de indie, esto ahora mismo, que no hace falta que nos cuenten mucho, que ya está. Que lo hemos visto, que es para cocinar, recetas, puedes hacer lo que quieras. Parece que puedes compartir tu receta vía online con otro usuario. Tienes un multijugador.
So actually, like Trina and I both love to cook. That's one of the things. And then the pandemic happened, and Trina and I were just like, oh, you know, like we're not doing anything. Like we're just at home. We don't get to eat out. And then we decided to make games. So last year, we released a demo, which was called Putahe ng Ina Mo Sinigang Edition. And then we looked in the streaming part of it. And people really liked it. So one of the things that we wanted is like Gia we asked Gia to do sound design where she talks about, she says the ingredients names. And that carried over into our actual game. Like when we saw how much people enjoyed the demo and they really like it, like we feel like we're filling in a gap where it's not too serious gaming, like it's not instructional, you know, like we want to recreate as much as, you know, how you would be in the kitchen, which is you measure by feeling, you fix things as you go, things can
Vuelvo a
get
poner
messed
música.
up, and, you know, like we just want to bring in that fun into the game and make it a game. Like the fact that when you look at games in general, cooking game is always like a mini game, just like a side thought. And we both love cooking, like we both love food also, so we wanted to put cooking itself as the focus of our game.
That is so awesome. Now, we did see actually a little bit in that trailer that there's a social network in this game called Cookbook. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that ties in to the progression system in the game?
So Cookbook itself, we wanted a way to wrap the game, and then it's essentially like fake Facebook where you could look in and then you have like tasty like videos, and you learn.
There's also the current news.
Yeah, there's also current news, and then essentially like you learn by watching videos of the game. So
Se van a enrollar de nuevo, Maníaco, lo estoy viendo ya.
Combo fighting system that we want, but then there's also an accessibility option where we've made it so that you could actually remap the controls so that you could, you know, adjust the game to your playstyle. and which is something
yeah,
that
because I was going
very
to ask
important.
about that actually, because of course I'm an accessibility advocate and consultant, so accessibility is very much a big part of my life and what I do. So what are the other accessibility features that you're going to actually have in Supot?
So one of the things that like we really care for is dyslexia. Like one of our team members has dyslexia, so that's very important to us. That was a very long discussion, you know, whether we
falta una cervecita, exactamente, una cervecita en el canal.
Whether and to balance that so that people feel like they're progressing in the game. Another thing is that Trina is designing, you know, colorblind.
Pues mira que lo tenía pensado, CentiX, lo tenía pensado, pero ahora para conectar el tema del... Para capturar, tengo que conectar todo el sistema ahora. Lo tengo preparado ya para esta noche, así que... Bueno, mejor dicho, tengo que prepararlo ya para esta noche. Pero bueno, podemos hablar de todo lo que viene ya, a ver qué opináis en tema de... Por ejemplo, el tema de Bethesda, ¿cómo lo lleváis en el Game Pass, no? Muchos que tengan aquí Xbox, tengan el servicio contratado. ¿Habéis dado abasto con los juegos? Porque en verdad hay un montón, ¿eh? ¿Y en PlayStation habéis jugado ya a los juegos de marzo, maníacos?
Now, Trina, I wanted to ask you because apparently I understand you're the queen of meme over there at Chicken Club. So I heard that you'd said that there's some really creative and meme-driven achievements in this game. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're going to look forward to? And you mentioned to me earlier there's a 5-second rule achievement. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So our achievements aren't skill-based. They're basically based on how much fun you have in the kitchen. So we have this thing where if you drop an ingredient on the floor and you decide to pick it back up and put it on the pot, the game will record that and mark that as an achievement for the 5-second rule because you're still using the ingredient that fell on the floor. And there's also this. Oh no, I'm spoiling a lot of things. But anyway, there's also this feature where you have a fake neighbor in the background singing karaoke, and if you get too annoyed, you can just throw food at them, so they stop singing. Oh my gosh! Something like that. Yeah.
That is so amazing. I love that. By the way, you should probably mention that you got to make sure that you have to turn the stove.
Cuidado,
off,
cuidado.
Right? You don't want to
Yeah.
Cuidado lo que se puede venir, ¿eh?
You need to turn your stove off if you're not using it because it's gonna Eguen is gonna implement a feature where if you don't turn off the stove, your whole kitchen's gonna burn. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, you had also actually mentioned before.
Ahí, más o menos dimos.
There's going to be
cuidado,
the ability to have like kind of different types of food.
El Spiro no, los Crash Bandicoot son más difíciles que el Spiro. Spiro tienen alguna dificultad de Spiro, pero no es tampoco tan difícil. La super embestida, algunos niveles, pero no son difíciles. Lo vais a ver en el vídeo próximo, maníacos. En el vídeo próximo lo vais a ver lo que voy a decir del tema del retro. Pero cuidado porque puede hacer una jugada buena ahí. La verdad, Sony.
And this is something that's very subtle. It's not really going to affect like your experience of the game. But we wanted to ensure that the design of it also reflects that, you know, small, like local farmers and homegrown organic ingredients are just better and like more fresh compared to like supermarket ones, just because of, you know, like fast food and like waste and all of those things. So
sí, algunos niveles del Spiro, si juegas por ejemplo a lo de los siguientes de PlayStation 2, tiene niveles que son, a nivel de la jugabilidad mecánica, son muy inferiores a lo que hizo Insomnia. Pero la trilogía principal de Insomnia, el que es más complicado pasarte, de decir me cuesta pasarme tal nivel, es el 3. El último es el que creo que es el más complicado también por las carreras. Por las carreras contra cazador, contra las abejas también, me acuerdo que las abejas que estaban ahí. Algún nivel de Sparks se pone un poco complicado, pero algún secretito que otro.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can kind of go at your own pace. I love that. So I bet there's a lot of people kind of in the chat that are going to be wondering, like,
estoy deseando un Spyro 4, maníacos. Que diga Toys for Bob. Estamos haciendo lo mismo que hemos hecho con el Crash Bandicoot, pero con Spyro 4. En plan, soltamos Spyro 4.
We are aiming for August 31st, 2021. And yeah, like that month is like pretty important for us. When the game gets launched, you also could actually play in a Japanese and Korean kitchen because of like how close those culture us to what we're exposed to. So there are a couple of recipes, and then you could choose to cook in a Japanese or Korean kitchen also.
That is so really cool. I love that so much. All right, so thank you so much, Gwen and Trina, for joining us. Where can we be able to find more information about Chicken Club, you, and Supot?
We have a
So you
website
could
that's
yeah.
down there. It's chicken.club.
Kish. Venga, hombre.
All right, that's awesome.
Dale cañas. Siguiente tráiler.
We also have a Twitter.
Maníaco, el que no le haya dado like, que le dé like al vídeo.
Discord, yeah.
Vamos a mostrar más energía, vamos a ser positivos. Vamos a cliquear todos por un tráiler de Hellblade 2 ahí. Infraganti por ahí. Oh, un Perfect Dark.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh,
Thank you,
that was
Steve.
adorable.
Thank you, Gwen and
Thank you.
Trina. Okay, Brianna, are you a good cook in real life?
I've gotten better, yes. When I first started cooking, no, not really. But it's almost like trial and error. I love what they were saying earlier about how, you know, in their culture, there's no sense of really following recipes. It's just you let the ancestors guide you, and they'll tell you how much you need to add. That's the kind of cook I am.
You know what? I self-professed not a good
Atención, maníacos, cuidado.
And I'm watching this thinking, oh,
Parece que van a anunciar algo grande,
much like
Atención,
Dance Dance Revolution made nobody a better dancer. So no, probably not. But at least it might make me have some love, you know, for
Y lo están metiendo de fondo, cuidado.
They talked about where like you
Atención.
can throw food at your karaoke neighbor.
Yes.
That sounds hilarious. Or that when you select food, or I guess pick it up, the food yells out its name.
Yes.
When you pick it, that's what I'm in for.
Están diciendo que el fin de todo ya.
Or even they were
Que van a ver unas hostias que flipan. Atención,
food, and as long as you pick it up, blow the dust off and put it back on the stove within 5 minutes.
Dicen directamente que va a ser el destroce total.
5-second rule for real.
Yes, for real. Well, everyone at home watching,
Están metiendo la música, cuidado. ¿Lo estáis viendo? ¿Estáis escuchando? Está entrando la música. Exactamente, exactamente. Dicen que han visto a una divinidad nórdica y no pueden decir nada más. Divinidad nórdica y aguantazos. 3 minutos, para lo épico. Sí. Sí, ahora llega ya. Joder, tío. Habéis picado, ¿no, maníacos? ¿Qué pensabais ya? Que iba a aparecer ahí el señor Kratos ahí con Thor, ¿no? En el evento de Xbox, ¿no? Va a ser una locura. Sí, imagínate que aparece ahí el señor Kratos y voy con la que te doy. Creo que lo que he hecho, maníacos, con la música de God of War, subiéndola poco a poco y contando esa milonga, os había emocionado más que directamente en todo lo que hemos visto de evento de esta semana que hemos tenido, ¿eh? Bueno, 30 segundos, a ver con qué continúan. Algunos sí, ¿eh? Alguno habrá escuchado la música y habrá dicho, hostia, God of War para Game Pass. ¿Cuántas veces vaya a presentar?
My name is Trisha Hirschberger, and I am here today with Brianna, aka Story Mode Bay, and we're kind of like your tour guides through this event today, leading you to all the different sections of things.
¿Cómo se nota que es una recopilación prácticamente de todo lo que han estado grabando durante unos días?
Next up, everyone will be hearing from the creative team behind Nobody Saves the World, and they will be interviewed from none other than Danotage. But before we get to that interview, we have more gameplay trailers to reveal. From the Battle of Normandy to the scrum of medieval combat, this next batch of games promises something for everyone. Let's take a look.
Venga, joder. Está gracioso esta plataforma, Está gracioso. Hacen falta más cosas a nivel 3D, también. Pero está gracioso, Está chulo, porque mira, fijaros los combates típicos, combate plataformero. Bueno, tiene unas cadenas y todo ahí, parecía. Oye, está chulo, Tenemos la demo donde en el Pass. Pero era en modo... ¿Ponía PC o era solamente para consola? Sí, la verdad es que sí, Sergio, ahí va un poco, pero es la estética que le han querido dar, ¿no? Pero es gracioso, por eso también le digo que es gracioso, por ese stop motion que lleva. Entonces lo del tema de la demo, ¿la habéis visto si ponía en consola solo o también en PC? ¿Era para el Game Pass total? Es que no lo sé, no me he fijado bien. No, no tiene pinta de ser Age of Empires, no, este no. Este es el Chivalry 2. Es que yo iba a decir, mire, tiene el Chivalry, pero el Chivalry 2. O sea, directamente el segundo. Sí. No, Chivalry 2, tío. La verdad es que gracioso, ¿eh? Hacía tiempo que no veíamos el Chivalry. Juego nórdico en 2D. ¡Kratos! Apoyando al maníaco, ¿qué pasa con esos likes? Muchísimas gracias, Raúl Fernández. Muchísimas gracias por usar el superchat para apoyar el canal, de verdad. Un abrazo enorme. Y de verdad, Raúl Fernández, ahí tienes razón. ¿Qué pasa con esos likes, maníacos? Solamente es un clic y me ayudáis un montón. De verdad que lo agradezco que me deis likes. A tope los likes, maníacos. Muchas gracias, Raúl Fernández. Pero se ve guay, ¿eh? Se ve chulo. Bueno, este ya se veía en la imagen. Atención. Objeto no identificado aproximándose. Sobrevolando una nave de Nibiru. Se transforma en la snitch dorada. Esto es un juego relajante, ¿eh? Esto es un juego muy relajante. Play, me dejaste en la mente del E3 2016. No, con lo de la música de God of War, ¿no? He hecho la jugada ahí, J3D.
Peaceful last trailer. It was so
Yep,
calm.
XO1, the gliding sim. I feel
Yes.
like is what that is. If you need to just zen out. I saw Blank Arcadian in chat when we were watching the trailer for King of Iron said Assassin's Creed of Persia. And I just thought that was hilarious. But you're mentioning
A tope, Luis Antonio.
I love Blank Arcadian. So King of Iron might be right up there as well. Brianna, did you have any of those trailers that jumped out at you that you were like, yes, I gotta play that?
Yeah, that first one, Demon Turf, I think it was called, definitely caught my eye. It's kind of like a 3D platformer, but what I liked about it is they kind of experimented with that 2D style a little bit as well. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Also, what I'm equally as excited about is our very next interview coming up. Up now, streamer Dano Taj is going to connect with the devs behind Nobody Saves the World. From the developers of Guacamelee, oh, I love that name, comes Nobody Saves the World, which is a twist on an action RPG in which you play many different character forms, each with their own unique gameplay mechanics. You get to explore a vast overworld, clearing generated dungeons in an effort to beat
Dime, Leito, ¿qué problema tienes con la PlayStation 5?
Save the world. Let's check out the trailer.
¿Qué problema tiene? Pero este está ya en el GamePass, ¿no? Igual que me lee. Ah, bueno, pero este es un DLC, un contenido aparte.
Yo, wow, that trailer was awesome. I've seen that like 3 times now. It's fantastic. My name is Dan Otaj. Hello, everybody. I'm joined by the lovely, lovely human beings named Grand.
Voy a por cafeína, maníacos. De mientras lo dejo, que vayan hablando. Y voy a por cafeína. Voy a poner un poco de música para animar, ¿vale?
Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. That, like, I'm not joking. That trailer gets me amped every single time. I've seen it like 4 times now, and it's fantastic. The music's a bop. The game looks fantastic. Let's talk about it. There's so many things to get into. We don't have a ton of time. Let's dive right into it. What do you guys want to start with? We got all kinds of things.
Well, we can explain a little bit about the gameplay, how it works, and what we're going for with the game. So
yeah, please.
I guess nobody saves the world. Well, to start off, that naked gray baby that you saw that picked up the wand at the start.
Voy a por un poco de cafeína.
That's where you start the
Y estoy aquí.
And so, like right at the start of the game, you find this magic wand, which allows you to change your form into different types of forms. So the game is basically like a top-down RPG, action RPG. But as you're playing, you're progressing through this form tree, and you're unlocking new forms and playing as different forms and experiencing like completely different types of gameplay with each kind of forms. So at the very start of the game, the very first form you'll unlock is you gain the ability to turn into a rat, and you actually use that ability to escape imprisonment. You get imprisoned at the start of the game. And then, so once you escape from your prison, you notice that the rat has this long list of quests that the rat can do using the rat's abilities. And when you start working on those quests and completing those quests, your rat starts to rank up and gain new abilities, and you also unlock additional forms that you can switch to, which have their own list of quests. So slowly throughout the game, as you're playing, you're unlocking new character classes, which we call forms, and exploring those different gameplay mechanics with the different forms, unlocking new abilities, unlocking more forms. You can see a little bit of the form tree in the video right now. You can see the player just turned into the rat. So in a quick nutshell, that's kind of what the game is about.
So the forms, it sounds like it's good for you're showing exploratory stuff and being able to kind of puzzle solve a little bit. I assume there's a lot that goes on with how your gameplay is going to be with combat and such.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every form has their own play styles and their own moves. Like some are about like applying status effects to enemies and taking advantage of that. Some are like real heavy hitters, but they need like long windups and they need an element of like timing to them. Some can fly, some can swim. There's like lots of combat and traversal mechanics. As you get further into the game, you can mix and match the abilities between the forms. So, then you have like a rat that can shoot arrows like a ranger, or a horse that's, like biting things and poison like a rat, whatever. So the possibilities are nearly endless, you could say.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before, and I think that's the thing that intrigued me most. It sounds like there's sort of a kind of Lego plug and play, get to pick different forms and kind of play with them. Is there like how complicated can we get?
It gets pretty complicated. Like to start with, when you unlock a new form, the form's quests are all kind of like training you how to use that forms, because we want to ease the player into the new mechanics that are presented with each form. So it'll be like getting you to use your basic abilities. But then once you've kind of started to get the hang of a form, we start giving new quests that you can't do with the base abilities of the form. You actually have to mix and match, pull in abilities from other classes. So, like for example, if you're playing as the rat doesn't have any ranged abilities, but the rat might get a quest to use ranged abilities to kill enemies. So you have some flexibility on how you want to do that. That's a pretty easy quest to do because there's lots of options for something like that. But they do start to get more specific, and some of them are more difficult to figure out. Like, exactly how am I going to do this? And different customizations. It gives the player some room for creativity in trying to complete the quests that they're presented with.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that was probably the thing I was most excited for when sort of hearing about this. Was it looks very much like, well, it looks like my jam, I'm going to be honest, and it looks like it's a lot of chat's jam as well. So I think we're all pretty excited about that. But that sort of freedom to play within your rules as the developers, but also be able to kind of do things on our own and get pretty creative and play with like the tools that you've brought up. I think that's pretty awesome. Not to mention, I mean, just simply like Geopart says, the art style of this game looks amazing, and I couldn't agree more. There's just so much stylistic virtue to it, and it seems like it's you're taking a lot of inspiration from your past works, like Guacamelee. Can we talk about like what are sort of the things that maybe you learned in the past that you brought to something like Nobody Saves the World?
Actually, I mean, talking with the artists through the development process, of course, like one of the goals is to try and break a bit free from what we had done previously. I guess in terms of, say, like Severed and Guacamelee have a very like angular vectorized art style, but this is more like hand drawn and like lots of lines and strokes and stuff. And we also wanted it to be kind of charming, but like off-putting. Like I know like maybe like Ren and Stimpy or like Garbage Pail Kids were referenced in the art team, where like it's like appealing but also uncomfortable. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like there's a
see
little bit of grunge going on, and like you said, that hand-drawn art style is pretty unique. Because nobody does it the same, right? Not really, at least. That's awesome. So I've seen some mentions, and something that I sort of came up just kind of watching it for the first time was a lot of thoughts of like it being a roguelite, but I wanted to drive home that it isn't a roguelite. It's very much an action RPG, but you guys have something very special, which is, I mean, do you guys want to talk about your dungeons a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, the structure of the game, it's kind of like you're exploring a large overworld, not unlike one of the older 2D Zelda games, but scattered throughout this overworld, there's dungeons everywhere. We have about 25 dungeons right now in the game, and all of the dungeons are procedurally generated. So, and they all have completely different themes as well. So like, we have some standard things like, you know, a prison or a mine, but we have a lot of really odd, non-standard things like you'll be exploring a UFO or a gingerbread house, or you'll be going inside of a dead dragon, like just trying to do some weird, bizarre things. And each of the dungeons, while they're procedurally generated, they all have like different rules on their generation. So each dungeon does like have a unique feeling when you go inside of it. But if you do die inside of a dungeon, because you know the dungeons are going to get increasingly difficult. If you do die, you're kicked back out front, and it gives you a chance to try and create a new build to go back in again and try and be more successful with another attempt. And another thing we do as the game progresses is we start to add more mechanics to the game. So you can't just like find a form or a combo of abilities that is like ultra powerful and just stick with that for the whole game, because the dungeons will present different challenges. So you'll have to kind of mix and match. Not only because you want to try and push down the form tree by doing quests as different forms to unlock more classes, but because some of the dungeons you just won't be able to do with certain forms because those forms won't be well suited with their abilities to do that in dungeons.
And I was gonna try to find the most broken thing I could possibly find to play it the whole time. Now I can't.
We still do some from time to time. We do like give the player some places where they can just put together their best, most powerful form, just because we want you to be able to feel that experience. But there are some builds that feel pretty broken, so we can't just let you do that all the time. Yeah.
Dang it. I mean, speaking of very powerful things, you showed a couple, it looked like bosses straight up from the trailer, and that's like where my bread and butter comes from, what I'm always interested in. It's like, oh, the dungeoning is like super fun and super awesome. Where's the boss? And what sort of things can you tell us about maybe some of these high level enemies?
Okay, I share your love of bosses. They're in the game. They're not as much of a focus. They do exist. I think the like enemies and the hazards in the dungeons are almost more like the bosses, if that makes sense. Because like.
Yep. Yes, it does.
Okay, because like Ryan was saying, some dungeons, like, they all have their different themes, and some of them are pushing like really hard in certain directions. Like I just came in this dungeon and there's like poison everywhere and there's projectiles flying at me everywhere, like, and you're like, okay, well, what forms and what abilities can I use to like overcome this? And that's kind of the focus of the dungeon. So then like a final encounter within that dungeon could just like lean more heavily on that element.
Sure. No, that's cool. I mean, because I mean, there are a lot of games that sort of focus on, well, this is cool. You're building up. You're trying not to die essentially, but you just got to get to the boss. This sounds like it's very much going to be a challenge all the way through. And I mean, am I wrong in saying that you're going to basically? I mean, obviously you're going to be having fun the whole time, but are you going to be restarting pretty often if you're not necessarily like just a savant at what these kinds of games bring to you?
I don't think so. We're not trying to go for like ultra hard difficulty, and we don't want players to be like dying too frequently. And although there are some places that are pretty difficult, like there are a few key dungeons that you'll have to do throughout the course of the game that are more difficult, and those are the ones that I was mentioning where we kind of like allow the player more flexibility on what their build is going to be going into those dungeons, because we want them to feel like they're creating like really powerful builds. But no, in most of the dungeons you could probably clear them in like a small number of attempts. And like I said, there's a lot of dungeons though. We really want the player to be like moving through the world and exploring this vast overworld, meeting its inhabitants, and also jumping into all the dungeons that they're finding, and not just be stuck on a dungeon and looping on a dungeon for too long. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that sounds like you don't want something to be too frustrating. It's pretty cool. I just like the visuals of looking at the tree and how it kind of flows together. It seems really easy to read, which is a relief for a lot of things that have been, just kind of everywhere. It seems like you really paid attention to how everything looks, which is cool. You mentioned also that there's a lot of high-level story. Is there something that we should look forward to sort of getting into as far as like getting fully immersed in what sort of story are we going to be looking at?
There's a lot of variety, I would say. I guess that's like a blanket statement about the whole game, is us trying to be like charming and varied as much as possible. But like,
understood.
I would personally say to look forward to some of the characters you will meet. Like, my favorite is Marty Joe, the hammer curse, who is just like a person cursed to be a walking, talking hammer. He's got a really good storyline going on. But yeah, there's all kinds of like many strange people in many strange situations that you're going to meet. And actually, it kind of ties into the quests that like have been described a bit already, but the ones we talked about are kind of like combat quests. But the story allows for a whole lot of other quests. Like one of them is to get sat on, or one of them is to like fall in love, and like so you're just you'll always be finding these things as you're going through the world. It's an exciting part of the story to me.
That's awesome. No, that's cool. It sounds like there's a lot to look forward to. I mean, just characters in general are fun to sort of get attached to. I'm hoping you don't make us sad with any of these characters. I'm not going to ask you to react to that or anything, but I mean, there was a whole thing going on Twitter. It's like, don't cry, it's just a video game, but look at this game. And I feel like these types of games where you introduce really cool characters have a lot of opportunity to make that happen. So I'm both excited and hopefully I do not get too sad with these things, but it looks really, really awesome. Is there anything that we may have missed that you would like to show off today about Nobody Saves the World?
I think we covered most of it. Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Before we fully wrap up, where can we find Nobody Saves the World? Where can we see online, and what sort of things should we be following right now?
You can definitely follow us on Twitter, Drinkbox Studios. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, and we just today, even maybe just like right now, we're opening up a public Discord for the studio. So you can, if you want to know more about the game, see more cool stuff from the game, please follow us on Discord. I think it's like discord.gg/Drinkbox. Yeah, those are the places to follow us.
Oh, fantastic! Awesome. Thank you all so much. Thanks to Graham and Ian for joining me. Thank you to everybody for watching this. Please keep this on your list, because I would love to see as many people play this as possible so that I have things to talk about with you all. We're going to throw it right back to Story Mode Bay and Trisha. Thank you both for joining me, and thank you all so much for watching. See you guys.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you so much to Dan Otage and Drinkbox Studios for that interview. Oh my gosh, nobody saves the world. I really like the fact that there's so many generated dungeons, so the gameplay almost doesn't feel repetitive. Trisha, how do you feel about it?
I thought it looked awesome. I mean, I was watching chat the whole time during that interview, and I saw Simo Maso in chat says perfect mix of RPG and roguelike, which I thought, yes, that's a good way to describe it. Because I mean, there were a lot of people saying, "Oh, roguelike," and we heard Ian and Graham say, "Well, kind of, but also not really." But yeah, I mean, there's a lot to love here from kind of the quirky characters and interesting side missions that they talked about. That I do think it's going to have a lot of replayability. I do think this is a world that I know for myself I'm probably going to spend a lot of time in. I think that Nobody Saves the World looks definitely interesting. Do you think it's something you'll probably stream?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to check it out. And I love what you said too about the replayability, because I feel like there's so many games where you play and it's almost like it's one and done. But no, I want to get my money's worth. I want to play this a couple of times over and feel so excited about each playthrough that I do. So yeah, I'm definitely checking this out. Chat at home, what are you guys thinking? Is there a game that you're super excited about that you've seen from the trailers already, or a game that you're looking forward to? I mean, looking at the chat, I have a good feeling about what they're looking forward to. I'm seeing a lot of hype for Stalker. I'm seeing a lot of hype for Among Us. I know what the chat is feeling like.
Oh yeah, but I mean, we've got so much to get into today, so let's go ahead and keep this party rolling. We've had so many great game announcements already today, but next up we have a number of titles never before revealed. Dun, dun,
Ya estamos por aquí de nuevo.
right, new game trailers. Let's take a look at those now.
A verlo. He llegado justo cuando se va a mostrar un trailer nuevo. A ver. Estaba en la charla, ¿no? De los desarrolladores. No te escaquees, ha huido. No, estamos aquí, estamos aquí. Estamos aquí, estamos aquí.
Besides ourselves, the Marios, our canon is home to the Pesca, the Zephs, the Arctons, and the Oasis. Oh, we must not forget the Migmies.
Itoshi.
The Migmies bring our
Estoy Sakamoto también de Final Fantasy.
around crates containing an essential ingredient for our society. This ingredient
Fui a por café, Orestes, fui a por café. Bueno, fui a por otra Coca-Cola más todavía.
And last but not least, let me tell you about us. We are the demigods. Our mission is to fight and defeat the noises, the mysterious monsters that threaten our beautiful harmony. The demigods will not allow anyone to destroy.
A mí me encanta, esto no se ve mal, JRPG, chulo. Sí, parece ser que sí, que el pre-show, ¿no? Pero... vamos a ver. De todas maneras, estamos aquí como espartanos. Hay que estar aquí como guerreros. Está chulo esto, ¿no? What? Ten cuidado con lo que he visto vidas pasar. Tenemos cuidado, José Luis. Abusamos lo justo. No sé, lo veía chulo, pero he visto el movimiento ese de ataque. Y si yo soy el estudio y no suelto ese movimiento que ha pasado, he visto a un tío dándole un porrazo, pero muy cutre. No me gusta la física, la verdad. Mecánica... La ambientación me gusta, ¿eh? Es muy Sky o Arcadia, Final Fantasy... Planeta del Tesoro... John Carter de la Tierra... What? Last Oasis, ¿no? El último Oasis. ¿Puede ser? Sí, ¿no? Last Oasis. Creo que sí es. El último Oasis. No, ponía el último Oasis. Vale, Toon Tactics. He ido a por patatas, pero que si no, maníacos, me da sueño, ¿eh? Es como dice mi amigo Poro. Le mando un saludo desde aquí, ha entrado antes, por aquí antes ha entrado Poro. Y es como dice, y lo comparto totalmente, ya sabéis, Poro de Big Data. Dice, lo que está pasando es que no se están esmerando con los eventos. No están aportando lo que tendría que ser, ¿no? Estamos arrancando la generación. Y aunque esto sea un apoyo a indies, hay que ponerse. Pues no lo sé, Juan Cortelo, del control de calidad en algunos estudios, fíjate por ejemplo Cyberpunk, ¿no? Para hacer una superproducción, ¿dónde estaba el control de calidad en ese momento? Hay muchas locuras en la industria que, vamos. Muchas gracias, Luis Antonio. Ah, el simulador de cortacésped. Oye, ojo el agua, ¿eh? Para hacer el toque pixelar, cuidado el agua. Se ve chulo, ¿eh? Mira, mira lo que está haciendo el agua, ¿eh? ¿Lol? Que puedes mover la plataforma, ¿no? A tu antojo y golpeas con las plataformas también. Raro, ¿no? Lo del tema de las plataformas te tiene que... De un momento que te tiene que rayar. Muy buena, Wolf Assassin. Pues el evento... Ha tenido un pre-show largo y ahora parece que está arrancando el tema de los trailers, pero... Vamos a ver.
Oh man, so much Last Oasis hype in chat. I loved it. There was a lot to love there. Last Oasis looks great. Lost Eidolons is maybe how you pronounce it.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, Loot River looked awesome, and I saw chat also very excited for some of those things. Lawn Mowing Simulator made me giggle. If you want a really, really intense very accurate lawn mowing simulator, then that could be you. But Last Oasis is out
A tope,
right now
Antonio.
on Xbox One.
¿Tú conociste la hidrofobia? Sí, claro, Sergio. Y el de los patitos de la PlayStation 3. No sé si lo recuerdo, la demo de los patos. ¿Te acuerdas? ¿Cómo se llamaba el de PlayStation 3 de los patos? Yo me quedé flipado cómo reaccionaba la bañera, los patos, el agua.
Are you just kind of mowing the lawn casually? I'm interested. I have a couple of questions about it. But that last trailer for Loot River, oh yeah, I'm excited for it.
Oye, una cosa. Trisha me recuerda a una actriz, que no voy a decir el nombre,
It's like an adventurous Tetris, if you
pero me recuerda un montón,
Oh yeah, and the second that I see Super Hot Presents before any trailer, I'm like, yes, please, let's get that.
Me ha recordado a una actriz así. Me ha recordado a una actriz que ahora también es gamer, Sí, exactamente, una demo técnica. Exactamente.
I don't know if we can specifically tell that from the trailer, but that's at least what it seemed to me. Which, when you combine those two things, that is something.
Ojo, Kevin Geza ya la ha pillado.
Really cool.
Absolutely. Now, which one was the one with the guy and he was
No, a Mia Khalifa no.
Was that Lost?
Exactamente, Israel Núñez. Exactamente. La habéis clavado.
They were so good, but that one looks exciting.
Mia Khalifa no.
Maybe Last Oasis.
A Sasha Grey.
This was the one with like the cool airships that everybody's pedaling, and it kind of takes place in a desert-esque atmosphere. So it might be that you were thinking of. But yeah, really,
es la prima hermana de Sasha Grey.
Glad to see everyone in chat getting hyped for some games. Next up on the showcase today, our next guest is one of the creative minds and developers behind the small little indie title that some of you might know, called Among Us. And on March 31st, speaking of airships, is dropping into the game. So let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer for the new map now.
Se parece un montón. Vamos, prima hermana seguro. De la monas.
Welcome, recruit. Get yourself acquainted with the layout of the Top-Hat airship. Enough slacking. Go to your tasks. You may need to take a ladder to get to certain areas, or maybe just take a nice shortcut. Quit grouping up. Choose a room to start. Someone keeps trying to sabotage us. Stop their plan. Keep your eyes peeled. We definitely have an imposter here.
¿Cómo ha pegado la monas,
Hello, Victoria. How are you today?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. The chat is so hyped. Like, they are moving so incredibly fast. I think everyone is...
Yo sé que ya vaya a estar viendo a Trisha y ya la vaya a estar relacionando con Sasha seguro. Ya está. Ya, por mucho que queráis, aunque estéis viendo ya a Trisha, vaya a estar viendo a Sasha.
Yeah, so the airship is actually dropping on...
Ya ha entrado, ya lo que he dicho ha entrado en vuestro subconsciente y ahí la tenéis.
Yeah, it's going to be our biggest map ever. It's going to come with an account system. We have some free hats coming with it, as well as some cosmetics that you can buy. There will be all new tasks. There's going to be ladders and moving platforms. It's going to be hopefully a lot of fun for everyone to play with, and we are really excited for it to finally be out.
Can you tell us, for those of us that really like to play imposter, or get chosen as imposter, can you tell us what the venting system is like? Is this going to have a fully connected vent system for that pro level play?
Oh, you know it. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see how everyone gets around to murdering each other.
Ooh, I cannot wait to, in the best ways, murder my friends. But with that being said, I thought it was really interesting from the trailer that after meetings, you're able to select what.
Yo me quedo con el chocolatillo primero.
Yeah, so, you know,
Qué cabrones.
it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll like definitely change up the strategy. And if you know, if you spawn in the same room as the imposter and it's just you two.
Sí, Juan Cortés. Han tardado mucho. Pero ten en cuenta que, fíjate, ahora han soltado el avión, ¿no? El avión y ya está. Un nuevo escenario, tal cual.
Yeah,
Y ya con eso, si ya lo han roto, con lo poco que tenían, ya lo han roto. Con esto más todavía. Otro añadido más y se extiende.
All that kind of fun stuff. Yeah, it's going to be a lot, and we hope, like, in the future to make bigger lobbies so you can have more players, but that's going to be coming in the future, so.
That's exciting. Now, I did recently learn that the airship is going to be the
Grande Luis
biggest
Antonio, ha
map
hecho más músculo que
available.
Kratos.
Does that mean that there will be new tasks available as well, or new death animations maybe?
Yeah, so there's going to be all new tasks available, and there will be one new death animation if you buy the additional cosmetic pack that comes with it. As you can see, it's based on Henry Stickmin, which is another game that we made in the past, so there it is. It's Right Hand Man's kill animation, so we're hoping people have a lot of fun with it.
Oh man, are you allowed to tease what the new hats are?
You saw lots of it in the trailer, but we will have some new free hats, such as a unicorn hat, like a little heart, some angry eyebrows, zipper, a chocolate ice cream hat that is definitely not poop. It's definitely chocolate ice cream and nothing else.
Definitely not poop.
Definitely doesn't look like anything else.
Es un buen combo, Trisha, con PC de la NASA.
Thank you for specifying. But with that being said, do you have any personal favorites about this new map?
Honestly, okay, so I know it doesn't.
Se puede morir de aburrimiento si pillas café y algo de picar, aguanta.
It's just like something. It's just so simple, and there's really nothing that special about it. But I just love the like simplicity of ladders just everywhere.
I think that's cool. I'm
Simplicity
excited
or
too.
complexity for the players. So I wonder, you know, you said this is going to switch up people's strategies. How much are you watching?
No, tú lo que estás diciendo del tema de llorar fue en los Game Awards, que se llevó el premio. También se llevaron Among Us, se llevó algún que otro premio.
Because there are people out there who are very good at this game. How much of their gameplay do you watch when thinking like, oh man, we need to switch it up?
Oh, it really depends, right? So we do try to keep up, and well, there's a lot. Thankfully, we're very grateful to have a lot of people who play Among Us, so that's really cool. But we do, you know, try to keep up and see who's playing and kind of their strategies and see the kinds of cool things they come up with. But within ourselves, actually, like with our game design and with our own like QA and our own play testing, it's really a mix of like our own sensibilities and, you know, just years of making games and also just seeing how the community runs with it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like things like, you know, visual tasks being able to be on and off, having the taskbar fill immediately, stuff like that, that it's kind of like through playing it, you're like, oh, this could be tweaked, oh, this could be tweaked, and not just necessarily like tweaked to make the game better, just to give people options of what you want the difficulty to be. And I'm sure Brianna and Victoria, you can both relate to this, but it's like, you know, if I'm playing Among Us with my family members that don't game very often, my settings are going to be very different than if I'm playing with a bunch of
Claro, Sergio, fue
that are
los Game Awards.
24/7 Among Us.
Exactamente.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I think the cool thing, right, is just to see all the different kinds of people that come together to play Among Us, right? It's not, we've had classrooms of people playing, we've had families playing. It's been really nice to see.
Oh, that's so cool. I am kind of curious because I have being an imposter on my mind. Are you able to maybe kill someone on a ladder or one of those moving platforms, or is that off limits?
Voy a poner una música que le pega mucho, ¿vale?
But the fact that you thought of
Le pega
that,
mucho a lo que está
like,
sucediendo ahora
alright,
mismo.
Someone's ready. Someone is just ready to
La música que le pega a esta gente ahora mismo es
I can
esta.
see it now. Stack kill on a ladder. Story mode there.
Oh my goodness. Just push it off the moving platform.
So I have to ask you, Victoria, how much do you play Among Us on, like, I would say a weekly basis? Are you like, hey man, this is my work, I need to get time out in my personal life, or are you just 24/7?
Yeah, because it's my work, I
Este tema es de... A ver quién lo reconoce, ¿eh? ¿De qué es este tema el que está sonando? ¿Que he metido? A ver si alguien lo recuerda. Lo he puesto alguna vez, ¿eh? Lo he puesto alguna vez en la lista de Domingo Nostálgico. Os doy una pista, lo he puesto alguna que otra vez. ¿Quién reconoce el soundtrack? Evanescence. No, Evanescence. Está el logo. Deimos, no, hombre. Muy buena, Max Payne. No, hoy ya no estamos. Estamos en modo Kratos. No, Medieval no. Ten en cuenta que esta es más happy que Medieval. Medieval tienes algún toque de felicidad, pero no es tan cómica. Ten en cuenta que es de un juegazo, ¿eh? No, del Flipendo no es. De Flipendo no es. No. De Flipendo no es. Es un juego que fue muy bueno, ¿eh? Estuvo muy chulo. Lo vamos a jugar aquí en Domingo Nostálgico seguro. Pero seguro. Sí, exactamente, Sergio. El Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. Exactamente. Bugs Bunny atrapado en el tiempo. Exactamente.
If anyone has any questions or
Bugs
wants
Bunny,
to know
tío.
where to find you, do you have maybe a social platform that you prefer people to reach out on?
Totally, yes. So you can find us on Twitter most of the time. So that's twitter.com/amongus.game. You can also find us on
No, es del Bugs
Discord
Bunny.
at Innersloth.
Sí, lo que pasa es que lo has confundido. Plisky lo has podido confundir por el tema de con Aladdin, por el tema de la escala. Que tiene una escala árabe.
ID at Xbox Showcase today. Thank you for coming by Twitch Gaming, and hopefully we'll see you here soon.
No, de Tomino.
Yes, thank you for having me, and thank you, chat.
Yay!
Oh
man,
my
that was
gosh.
so fun. I can't wait to jump into that new map, and I can't wait to see what the new tasks are and, you know, how to adjust your strategy accordingly. I saw the people in chat saying Trisha is sus. Everybody always thinks I'm the imposter, even when I'm not, and I don't know why. Apparently, I'm super sus all the time. But you know what? I'll take it, and then we'll adjust my strategy accordingly. And what kind of imposter are you, Story Mobe?
You know, I like to say I'm strategic, but sometimes when that imposter title flashes across the screen, it's like I kind of black out a little bit. Maybe I get a little hungry and crazy with power. And I'm just like, yes, the first person I see, oh yeah, that's who I'm going for. And all my little plan just goes out the window. I panic sometimes. It's fine.
I try my best to have a nice clean kill when you can, like, get somebody alone and then vent out of there real quick, but it doesn't always work that way. You know, sometimes you have a kill and then 3 other players walk in and I've watched it happen. It's the luck of the draw sometimes, but the more clean kills.
De verdad, maníacos, que está siendo súper tostón total, Qué tostón de evento.
Xbox Showcase. Death's Door devs are up next.
Y ya, una cosa es hablar de indies y otra cosa es esto.
And again, just a lot more content.
Al Sim Rider, sí, claro. Xavi,
We'll be right back.
del coyote. Y otros 3 minutos. Este evento, Sergio, trata de mostrar los indies de Xbox, pero en vez de soltar los trailers seguidos, se ponen a dar la tabarra. Vamos a ver. ¿Me vais a enseñar videojuegos? Enseñarme videojuegos. Podéis hablar un poco, contar un poco por encima, pero no esas charlas, por Dios. Pero no esas charlas, tío. No lo entiendo. Es que no lo entiendo. Maníacos, es que la emoción está... No sé, maníacos, pero me estoy pensando en cancelar el directo, ¿eh? Fijaros hasta qué punto está llegando lo que yo estoy viendo ahora mismo, ¿eh? Yo tengo muchos años ya en el videojuego, llevo muchos años ya con todos estos temas para tragarme estas cosas. Ya lo sabéis, exactamente, Josué. Para que yo diga eso, imaginaros que aquí aguantamos como campeones todos los directos, todos los eventos, todas las cosas lo aguantamos al máximo. Pero...
Hello, everyone. Welcome on back to ID at Xbox Showcase right here on Twitch Gaming. Coming up, we have very special interviews with the developers from Death's Door, interviewed by Stallion83 and Technique. Is going to be able to chat with the developers behind 12.
Maníacos, me parece que voy a cerrar. Voy a cerrar directo.
But first,
No.
Streamer Stallion83
Ni bad fur ni nada, lo siento. No. Ni peros ni peras. Maníacos, creo que voy a cerrar el directo y voy a abrir el del gameplay. Porque tengo ganas de que estemos todos juntos disfrutando de un contenido interesante. Esto ahora mismo es lo peor que he visto yo ya en mucho tiempo, ahora mismo desde que llevamos con las nuevas generaciones. Y no es porque sea... Y sé que está centrado en indies. Pero el ritmo. Si el evento está centrado en temas indies, que ya de por sí, algunos indies ya sabéis que no atraen a mucha gente, eso tiene que tener ritmo. Y te creo, Calimocho. Y te creo. Exactamente, Juan Cortés, es el formato también. Saca una espada la LOL. Oye, cuidado, ¿eh? ¿Gol? Oye, cuidado, te está chulo, Paloma que no, pero no.
Was very cool. I'm Stallion83 with me today.
Sí, J3D, voy a hacer gameplay,
Here to talk about a Death's Door.
Sí, además creo que vamos a jugar vamos a estar en Game Pass. Creo que voy a estrenar el Octopath Traveler. Vamos a empezar con el primer capítulo, vamos a jugar ahí.
He's awesome, he's a badass crow. I want to know the inspiration behind the crow.
Ponedme en el chat lo que queréis, maníacos, ¿queréis? Jugamos a un juego retro, Alien Isolation, Evil Inside,
the themes of the entire game.
Octopath.
It's kind of a dark, kind of mysterious bird, but they're also pretty cute and kind of funny. So we decided to make the character a crow. And
Ponerme el juego que os gustaría que empezáramos ahora a jugar.
Really, really cool. So, what can you tell us about the
¿Por qué te torturas, maníaco?
In Death's Door?
Porque aquí sacamos todo lo que haya de noticias, sacamos todo lo que sea tecnológico, pero hay veces que uno cae ante estas cosas, ¿no? Pero fijaros, este está interesante y podría haberlo anunciado antes.
They are in charge of reaping the souls of the dead and maintaining some kind of order in this world. You obviously are one of the crows, and you get sent to a place where nothing has died for many centuries. So as you can imagine, things basically escalate from there.
Very cool, very cool. So is this a roguelike? To me it looks like a roguelike, or is it an RPG? What type of game are we looking at here?
It's not a roguelike, so it is just one storyline that's single player, so you can play from start to finish, and it's like an entire experience. It has some light RPG elements in it, so with the combat system you can upgrade your things like strength and speed and basic stats like that, and you can also find new weapons along the way. And out in the world you'll have loads of different secrets to discover as well, so if someone wants to like 100% the game, there's like a lot of juicy secrets in the world for them to try and find.
Speaking of like 100%, what are the achievements looking like in this game? I have to ask you that question. It's mandatory.
Nice. Well, yeah, that's part of it. Because we had so much fun making this game with so many secrets and so much like little touches and different things you could do, we had a lot of fun coming up with the achievements as well. Probably, I think one of the most fun ones, at the very start of the game, you can actually pick up an abandoned umbrella in this office where all the crows work, and you'll get an achievement for using that for every battle in the game. It's basically a very weak weapon that is half as powerful as any other weapon in the game, so it's a hard mode for people who want to do that kind of thing.
So that might be
complicado, aguantar este ritmo,
That one right there.
May well be, yeah. I haven't even attempted it myself, so I can't even comment on that.
Oh wow! So with a game
sí,
called
exactamente.
Death's Door,
Este está muy interesante.
Are players going to die a lot in this game?
There'll certainly be a few deaths to have to go through. Yeah.
So
it's just
is
it's
it
the
hard
kind
as
of game
nails,
where you.
basically?
Sí, se rumorea.
I wouldn't say it's hard as nails. Like if anyone's played our previous game, Titan Souls, that would be described as probably hard as nails. But this is a bit more forgiving, a bit more accessible. But we still think it will present a good challenge for anyone who was a fan of the old game.
Yeah, I think this one is certainly.
Sí, porque lo han hecho prácticamente parece las temáticas estilo Soul también.
One thing that we wanted to do this time around was create
y luego
something
parece que también el tema de los toques de vida también
with like a really ridiculously hard boss. You don't just have to keep trying over
Pero
and
chulo
over
eso
again.
que acaban de
You will
comentar
have
también.
Options you can
Acaban de
do,
comentar lo de
different things you can
la
do to
oscuridad en la
prepare.
atmósfera.
So you might want to go and get more souls, which lets
Porque es verdad que tiene un
you
trasfondo, se ve muy chulo,
enhance your play style, or you might want to go and search the world for various secrets. So there's alternate weapons that you might feel more comfortable with, and you can also find upgrades for all the abilities that you have access to. So yeah, we want people to be able to take different approaches and overcome challenges in their own way.
Okay, so what can you tell us about the combat system, and how many different weapons can we use in this game?
I probably won't say the exact number of weapons, but there's a few to like change up your play style if people want to play with a more fast-paced, or maybe they want to use a big heavy weapon. And the combat was kind of inspired by games like Hyper Light Drifter, maybe a little bit of Hotline Miami. It's kind of like fast-paced, and you have to play quite reactively to your surroundings. Like things can change a lot, and you just have to be on your toes all the time.
And we were also really careful to make sure that all of the moveset that you have is very fast.
La verdad es que está muy interesante. Este juego está muy chulo, ¿verdad?
Every action you perform, it'll be executed within very few frames of you pressing the button. So you have that kind of nice, rapid fluidity that gives you what you need to overcome any kind of challenge.
Yeah, it looks incredible.
Yeah, you want
like
to take the same kind of reactive.
Incredible. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you want to
Mark,
take the same kind of reactive like interaction, like Titan Souls, like pixel art kind of games, and then bring it to the 3D world as well.
Okay, so what about replayability? How much replayability will this game have?
I think the first thing I would recommend doing when they're starting and when they finish
Sí, pero Neuhagen, aunque fuese de Nintendo, imagínate que el evento de Nintendo. El ritmo de anuncio y demás es lo que se ha metido la pata. Porque no, ya de por sí no es que porque sea indie, si mira qué juego, y un juegazo y se ve muy chulo, ¿no? El tema pero el caso es el ritmo. Es muy importante un ritmo consistente en un evento.
Focus on something that's far more speed and magic based, or something that's more down to brute strength and range and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that would be the best way to enjoy its replayability.
So how many bosses are we looking at? We're looking at, like, what is this right here on screen right now? Is that a castle boss? It looks really awesome.
Yeah, that's technically a mini boss, actually. I mean, mini is probably not the right word for it, but yeah. So there's a handful of good boss characters in the game. As you progress through, you kind of the core bosses have their own storylines that develop, and you kind of interact with them a few times while you're on your journey. So by the time you get to maybe know a bit of their backstory, you're going through their area of the world.
Evento...
They've left their mark on the world.
Y una pena porque hay juegos que están muy bien, pero el problema es el ritmo del evento. Los presentadores, las presentadoras no son las indicadas, y si son las indicadas, que no hablen tanto. O sea, se le ha dado mucha charla.
Each chapter of the game has a bit of build-up, learning about this boss, potentially even meeting them, and then when you do get to the bosses, it's like a culmination of that chapter, and our opportunity to up everything to 11, basically.
Cool. So, when can players get their hands on this game? When is this coming out?
We're actually pretty far along with it. We're almost content complete. We're just polishing and we're fixing bugs. So we're hoping to launch this summer.
Awesome, man. That sounds great. What about, like, DLC? You guys got anything planned for DLC down the line?
We're focused on making sure that... Sorry, yeah, we're focusing on making sure that the core experience is a full, satisfying thing where, you know, if you want to explore when you're playing the game, you know that that world is entirely realized. There's nothing we're waiting to add later. So we're focusing on the core single-player narrative experience for now, and then, yeah, maybe we'll consider other things after.
So if fans want to follow, you know, more information about this game, where can they find the updates for this?
They should follow us on Twitter @AcidNerve, and we'll be sure to keep everyone updated.
Exactamente, es la dirección del marketing y lo que es la relación total del evento, el guión del evento. El guión en sí, la puesta en escena, los patrones para llenar cada hueco, eso es lo que está mal. Exactamente, Juan Corte. Es la forma de rellenar. La forma de rellenar, exactamente.
Who work with us as well. So it's them who've created all of the assets that we need to bring our ideas to life. But yeah, we wear quite a lot of hats between the two of us as well. It's quite a good collaborative project where everyone has...
Voy a cerrar porque tengo cosas que hacer también. Tenemos tiempo limitado. Y la verdad,
okay, that's awesome.
Llevamos 2 horas y media de evento. 2 horas que llevamos.
In that, or is that just for the trailer? Is that like the hub or something?
Yeah, that's that acts as a hub world. So as you progress through the game, which is one like consistent open world to explore, you'll find these like keyholes which you can unlock, and they kind of
que vamos a ver, son presentaciones de juego indie, que tampoco es...
So the actual main world is like this
tampoco se le tiene que dar tanto bombo a esto.
Overgrown, like interesting place. Then there's the office where the Reapers work, which is kind of a noir, it's kind of depressing, bureaucratic environment.
Vale, Draco.
I saw like
un abrazo.
Tombs floating. What's in the tombs?
They were probably the doors. So
Oh, the doors? Was it a bunch of
place
doors?
that the crows work, yeah, it's called the Hall of Doors. So basically, the way that the crows do their job of reaping souls, they have these doors which can lead them to any place. So that's how it functions as a hub. You can use the doors to travel via shortcuts to back anywhere else in the world where you were before.
Okay, well, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it, and we're kicking it back. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks
I
very much for
appreciate
having
it.
us.
Thanks.
Oh, Death's Door. Oh, these look good. Now, I do want to say first, you know, shout out to all of the developers, but especially these smaller studios. My goodness. I mean, they were even saying between the two of them how many different hats and how many different roles and responsibilities they have to
¿Cómo se nota que le están
create
pagando,
these amazing games. So shout out to all of you because
Y
oh
encima
my
está
gosh, I
flipándolo,
can
¿sabes?
only imagine how hard of a job that is.
So much, yeah, just a team of two. Way to go, Mark and David. Love to see it. And chat was really loving this one. I was trying to pull comments out as we go. I saw Monkey Dwala says for real, instant buy. I am Orvana's, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, said, Devs made a really great game, love the dark mood, GG, and tons of love in chat for the black and white atmosphere, when we saw kind of the black and white atmospheric scenes, and I definitely want to know more about this world that they're fleshing out. I think it really, really looks cool. I even saw some people in chat saying, potential future game of the year. So, definitely loving that. Again, way to go, team of two, Mark and David.
Yes, for sure.
¿Qué pasa, sectarios? Ahora sí están gozando por la supuesta patente de retrocompatibilidad, ¿no? Que en Play no se juega en juego antiguo. Tú, Ángel Bobito, ¿tú qué tienes por sectarios? ¿Qué tienes por sectarios? ¿Tú crees que este canal es de sectarios? Tú, si te das una vuelta por este canal y ves toda la información que hay, ¿tú piensas de verdad que esto es un canal de sectarios? ¿O más bien un canal realista?
Let's take a look at some more new gameplay trailers. Here we go.
Este es el típico que viene también a hablarme de que yo he dicho algo de monopolio, de quejándome del monopolio de Microsoft, cuando nunca he dicho nada de eso. Me ha alegrado por las compras de Microsoft y por lo de la adquisición de Bethesda y ZeniMax. Pero son los típicos haters que cogen a uno que hable bien de PlayStation y lo llevan a nivel generalizar, ¿no? De generalizar a los fanáticos. Vale, este de Extinction. Este está chulo porque me recuerda mucho también al Turok, ¿eh? ¿Y qué tiene que ver que una mujer tenga... Mala María tenga 2 PlayStation 5? Ángel Bobito, como si tiene 5 o 10. ¿Qué tiene que ver que tú tengas 2 PlayStation 5? Tú eres el líder, no sé qué. ¿Qué estás diciendo? Anda, infórmate mejor de lo que trata este canal. Es un sacrilegio que hable así con la calidad que tiene el canal este, que está ahora mismo donde está. No, Sergio no ha durado mucho. Yo lo sabía ya. Mira que sabéis, maníacos, que siempre doy la oportunidad al debate, pero cuando son haters ignorantes que no tienen nada, no tienen argumento, no tienen nada, en base de nada, nada más que dicen gilipolleces, pues no duran mucho.
Present the final piece of a trilogy.
Yo, Wolf, PlayManiaco, te quedó bien la skin de Sassel. No, hombre. Para tener la skin de Sassel tengo que tener la cabeza deformada O sea, yo para tener la skin de Sassel tendría que tener la cabeza así, rapada al cero, pero deformada. Y la oreja, tendría que tener la oreja así. Y luego la cara en plan... Así. Hay que hacer... hay que poner... Tengo que poner la cara Mortadelo, no me sale. Tendría que tener la cara Mortadelo. Tienes que tener cara Mortadelo, tener esto, el cráneo deformado, tener algo por aquí así, la oreja así fuera. Entonces sí que sería una skin total, ¿eh?
Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm in charge of PR at GSC Game World. We made the original Stalker trilogy, and now we're...
Vamos, venga, vamos a ver Stalker.
The 23rd of March marked the anniversary of the first game in the series. Stalker...
No, no creo. Gangoso no creo. El Final Fantasy XVI no lo creo. Muy buena, Jeeper. Jeeper, generación.
That was our way to celebrate 25 years of making games here at GC Game World. This year, we have an anniversary gift for our fans as well. It's an update on Stalker 2. It's not as big as a new trailer just yet, but we hope...
Pues Ximena, lo voy a poner en breve, lo voy a poner esta noche, lo pongo. Esta noche o mañana, lo dejo ya la lista puesta. Para el domingo nostálgico. Que nos gustan los domingos nostálgicos, maníacos. Estamos ahí nosotros en nuestro rollo, disfrutando de joya antigua.
Freedom and the duty are two iconic opposing forces. First ones see the zone as a free, ever-growing state, while the second ones would eagerly sacrifice their lives to prevent its spreading. These ideologies will never meet the agreement. As you may have guessed, you will see them in the sequel. The recognizable design for each faction has been enriched with details. If you look closely, you can see scuffs, scratches, and sticking out threads. Please keep in mind, the models are still work in progress. The time has passed, and the new forces emerged in the zone. You can expect to see more factions in Stalker 2. Let's move on. The reception of Stalker 2 has been extremely positive so far.
Stalker en verdad hace unos cuantos años fue pionero a nivel técnico, ¿eh? El Stalker. Y no se ven nada mal los modelados, ¿eh?
The arsenal will include more than 30 different weapons. Of course, there will be lots of modifications for each gun.
Sí, eso es lo que pasa, Scotty. Están hablando demasiado y no le dan progresión, o sea... Nada, Baby Elizabeth. Nada, todavía nada. No, pero nos vamos a ir ya en breve. O sea, voy a dar la oportunidad después de Stalker. Y vamos a iniciar el directo gameplay. En el próximo, Ximena, en el próximo lo verá. El mes que viene sale la siguiente parte de Fallen God. Y lo vamos a tener doblado también en el canal. Sí, está muy bien hecho, Está muy bien hecho. No, Scorn todavía no. Todavía no ha salido. Pero está mostrando nada más que modelado, no salió bueno, salió un gameplay en el tráiler que iniciaron al principio, que presentaron cuando lo presentaron. Sí salió el tráiler, pero... sí se muestra un gameplay o algo, ¿no?
Finally, let's finish with something completely unexpected. We work a lot to fill the world with a decent amount of memorable details, and sometimes it takes us to completely unexpected grounds. Can you see this guy? Quite a charmer, if you ask me. But let's take a closer look at his teeth.
No, Di, muy buenas. No, bombazos ninguno.
And the tooth is gone, or changed, or replaced with a dental crown. All made with our custom teeth tool, one of the many plugins we use in the development process for specific changes like that. These tiny accents ensure each character looks completely unique. Literally every human in Stalker 2 has one-of-a-kind smile. Or...
Eso es la librería del Unreal Engine.
And that covers up our news for today.
Ese Unreal Engine
Please subscribe to our official social channels
sigue siendo el 4,
up-to-date info about the game or ask any questions. We would be pleased to share more.
Pero me ha parecido un poco raro, ¿no? La ventana de ese Unreal Engine. ¿El 4 o el 5, maníacos?
Until then, good hunting, stalkers.
La librería que se estaba viendo ahí cuando estaba colocando los dientes, ¿era un Unreal Engine 4 o el 5?
My gosh, I mean, there was so much hype in the chat for Stalker 2. I mean, wow, I'm blown away. For those to be a work in progress, they were so detailed. My gosh.
Es que me parecía por el color, ¿no?
Yeah, I mean, hyper-realism. So thank you, Zach, for that update on Stalker 2. I saw a lot of support in chat for the dev team. A lot of love, like you said, Brianna, for this game. The updated costumes look super realistic and fantastic. We got an in-depth look at some of those weapons. And that tooth customization. Oh. Super, super realistic and definitely unexpected for me. I saw 667 Dielos in chat says these graphics are so dope. WTF Sexy Headphones, which I love. Your name, your Twitch name. Says, absolutely cannot wait to play this game. Yet I hope that the devs take all the time they need to make it right. So
absolutely.
I saw a couple people in chat saying like, take your time. Let's make this the best game ever. And yeah, it was cool that Zach was able to stop by and show us that update of what they have so far for Stalker 2.
Absolutely. And I love what you said too. I feel like it is so important to give developers the time that they need to push these games out and allow them to do them properly. I know there's so much hype behind so many different games, but developers are people too. They need some time. They need to take the rest that they need.
Nada.
Give them some time. And don't worry, you guys will be happy. Just a little bit of patience.
You know, I'm always a fan.
Sí, el Stalker 2 tiene pinta de...
Awesome. So again, thank you, Zach, for that.
De salir demasiado tarde.
Next, Streamer Technique will sit down with director Luis Antonio about his new game, 12 Minutes, an interactive thriller about a man.
No, si salir del score no ha salido nada. Si está Sergio esperando el score.
All right. Close your eyes. I want you to think of a flower. Look at its contour.
Ah, este sí me gustó. Este sí lo vimos en los Game Awards. Este sí estaba chulo, ¿eh? Este sí estaba chulo. Este sí me gustó. ¿Te recordás, Maníacos, cuando estuvimos viendo los Awards? Que estaba muy chulo, ¿eh?
May you be free from suffering. May you be free from fear. May you know peace and joy.
Me pareció muy original.
Hello everyone, welcome back, and imagine being stuck in a thriller-themed 12-minute time loop over and over again to figure out what's going on in your life. Well, today I have the pleasure
Este era el estudio español, ¿no?
bring in Luis.
¿Era español o latinoamericano?
Joining me here as Technique, as you guys know. Luis, I am... This game, when I first saw it at E3 I was just like, what is this and what's happening? Because it reminded me of an old movie.
Que recuerdo que uno ganó los premios.
Long time ago. I remember seeing it when I was younger, and it.
Los malos ponen total gestionar esta chica van a salir algo quemado, suficiente, con mucha basta, pero quemados directamente, claro, exactamente. Juan Corte.
Yeah, definitely. So 12 minutes is it's an interactive thriller about a man trapped in a time loop. The whole game happens inside an apartment. You come home from work, you're having an evening with your wife, then this guy shows up. He accuses your wife of murder, and then he attacks you, you pass out, and then you go back to the start of the evening. And then you have to use the knowledge that you accumulate every loop to try to change the outcome and hopefully break the loop. It all happens inside the apartment. It's all in real time, and the game doesn't really tell you what to do, right? So it's kind of up to you to decide what to do based on what you experience.
I love that. It seems there's so many setups for failures and maybe one success. But before we get into all the complications of the game, we have to know, and I'm pretty sure you got hit with this question, when is the game going to be ready? Because we are ready to get our hands on this and experience 12 minutes and find out how to overcome this loop.
So the game, we're at the final stage, like final stages. We're doing QA, polishing, a lot of playtesting, making sure that the game is really smooth, finalizing the music. It's going to come out soon, very, very soon. Definitely this year. The exact date we don't know yet, but once we do, we're gonna announce it, and it's happening. It's definitely happening.
We believe you. I can see the progress over the years for sure. But we can't talk about the game without going into a little bit more detail about this. Is a cinematic thriller, so to speak, and it's very interactive. So the most important key components of this is your cast and the voiceovers and the narrator. Could you go in a little bit more detail about
Nules, hasta luego.
Yeah, so the
Yo lo entiendo,
because
que parezca aburrido a muchos, tío, pero es que es normal.
It's a bit about how you interpret what's happening, and so it's a very personal, intimate environment where it's you with these two other characters, and yeah, so the voice acting is there to really help. Like you gotta connect with these characters and care about what's happening in order to be able to follow the story and see where it leads.
That's a very, very important factor, is connecting with the characters and finding some kind of relatability to feel the emotion that your main character feels, or main characters, I should say. And talking about relatability, everything happens into an apartment, so the control aspect of this game has to be very important. So what kind of controls can we look forward to, the accessibility of controls in the system?
So for 12 minutes, I wanted to... it's kind of a point-and-click game,
Maniacos,
a bit cleaner than the old ones where you never quite know.
Nos vemos en unos minutos, ¿vale? En unos minutos nos vemos en directo con un gameplay.
So anything you can pick up, you can combine with other characters.
He visto por ahí que varios youtubers también, y con preferencias de Xbox más todavía, o sea, con preferencias totales y preferencias de nivel contundente, han dejado de transmitir.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I saw a tiny bit of the gameplay through the trailer. It seemed like the stuff that you do pick up everything has a consequence, it seems, and it's kind of like a risk-reward system. You know, like eating dinner. What if you pick up a knife and you try
Maniacos,
to go after the guy that comes in the apartment?
Nos vemos en unos minutos, ¿de acuerdo?
That's really, really cool. I would love to dig more into the
Si hay alguna sorpresa que anuncien, la veremos resumida después ya en las noticias. Pero no podemos seguir viendo este ritmo de evento, porque directamente llevamos 3 horas, maníacos. Llevamos 3 horas. Es que es complicado, complicado porque...
I don't want to say much because,
sí, Yara. Voy a abrir directamente ahora un directo. Sí, ahora estoy, pero un directo gameplay. Vamos a jugar algo aquí. Voy a elegirlo y nos vemos en unos minutos.
Yeah, that's a tricky question. There's really not much I can tell about the story. Like, I want players really to go in and
Maniacos, que tengáis como siempre mucha salud y mucha tecnología. Nos vemos en nada. Nos vemos en unos minutos. Hasta ahora, maníacos.
Like the situations that you're going to go through, none of them, there's no right or wrong, right? For example,
PlayManiaco, beat. PlayManiaco, tequila. PlayManiaco. PlayManiaco.